Okay. Okay, I want to make sure everybody can hear me and see me. Fantastic. Here we go. All right. As always, hello all newcomers. Welcome back, my fellow Eternians. It is me, Emperor AP. I have a lot of cool things to bring you today. Today we are specifically going to be talking about productivity in micronations. Normally we do a scripted video. This one is going to be unscripted. I want to talk to the chat. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the subject. But it is good to see everyone. FBI, I see you said you can't hear me. Wendigo says your screen's black, you're muted and frozen. Just give me one moment. It'll update for you. Yeah, right at the beginning of the stream there, I had to actually like modify my camera last second. If I bump the screen, it cuts it out. But I hope it is better for you guys now. Let me know. I am excited to be talking to you guys today because I wanted to break down the initial concepts for what it is that a micronation needs to do as it grows its government, as it gets larger and larger. A lot of the stuff that we've done in micronationalism up to this point has been just bare bones introduction. And I think for me, that is something that I've still been learning. It's just the bare bones, just trying to move forward, trying to get the concept of, okay, how do you go from thinking about yourself and the way that you live your life as like an individual and more toward this larger productive goal that you're trying to achieve. And so a lot of micronationalism, I feel like, is tied into the culture and the way that people live and the way that people express themselves. But specifically, there are certain things that are necessary for you to go from an individualized culture, something about yourself, something about, who you identify as a person, and something larger to actually creating a group and creating an identity with a whole bunch of people. Bumpkin said it's good. Hey, thank you very much, Bumpkin. It's good to see you. So talking about these different ways that governments can move forward and the way that micronations need to create governments. Republic of Utreya said hi, hello. The most important thing to remember is that we are strategically trying to grow based on a connection with the people that we are interacting with. So for Eternia, a lot of that is in our Discord. A lot of that is on our social media, as you all can tell. But in addition, there is this ultimate question, this kind of nagging thing that's always brought up and it's asked in basically every context to a micronation at all times. And that is, what are you doing? The big thing that micronations, I think, need to wrap their heads around, and it's taken me forever to get my head wrapped around fully, is this idea of asking yourself, what are you doing from every level, from every single perspective, and having that locked in. Because if someone can come to your micronation and interact with it and say, what are you doing? And from their interest, from their point of view, they get nothing back. If they end up answering for themselves, well, I don't feel like your micronation does anything, then that sucks for them, because it doesn't make them want to join you. It doesn't make your culture or your identity that you are trying to appeal to, this grand goal that you're trying to achieve by creating a country that allows you to unlock certain abilities and privileges and potentially monetary assets that need to happen in order for you to reach whatever that goal is. They don't feel like there's something sustainable there. They don't feel like there's something for them in it. So going to this idea of rewards and all these different things that you can give people, that is a way to go about it, and that is something that is important for developing it. It's just creating value around it for people. But extending beyond that, now we have to talk about the idea of that work and that effort being enjoyable for those people, and to kind of pander and develop the nation that you create to the people that you're interested in having in there, to the skill sets that you need. And so that's what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is this concept of looking at that. What are you doing? What do I mean by that? Well, when you are a micronation, you are trying your best to convince somebody that your way of life, your process for developing yourself and your community in the world is the right way of going about doing it. You're trying to find like-minded people who want to develop the same thing as you. And because of that, you have to think back to, well, what got me interested in that idea? Why was I so excited about it? Because when you can connect to someone who's just like you, that's fantastic. But there are very few, if any, people at all who are just like you. So when you start broadening your horizons and start realizing, hey, I need more diverse groups of people. I need people with many different skill sets from many different backgrounds to help me complete this culture that I'm building, to help me complete the goals of this nation that I'm building. The ultimate question you have to ask yourself is, okay, now what does that pitch look like from their perspective? What does that allow them to get out? How do they get to picture their individualized goals in terms of this larger movement that they're trying to be a part of, that you're trying to get them to be a part of? So for a lot of it, it has to do with this energy of the group. It has to do with this connection to the people that you are with and keeping people feeling actively involved and excited to be back for the next thing. If you go to a party or if you go to some really exciting like social gathering, a parade or something, you if you have a fun time and a good experience, are very excited for the next time it comes around. And if something doesn't come around for once a year or whatever, it feels really disheartening because you go, oh, that's great. I love doing that thing like it's your favorite holiday or whatever. You go and you participate and you have fun. And then you say, oh, man, well, now I have to wait till next year to experience that. But if it's something like a club or a group or an organization, if you feel really energized and passionate about what happens in your experience, then you can say, hey, when's the next thing happening? And if they're a good organization, they will be able to tell you the next thing that's planned and the way that they are trying to develop. So for us, that's something that I'm actively trying to grow on and that I'm trying to build slowly over time. And what I've learned the fundamental issue there is connecting that development of yourself, the way that you as a leader of a micronation or as a representative, maybe with others in a micronation, how you differentiate between yourself as an individual and those goals, and then your time as like an asset of the group that you're in. So you have to first identify this interest that you have in it, and that interest that you can see connected into other people, the people who are there and the reasons that they're there. And then you have to figure out, okay, well, how can I take those efforts, that fun feeling, that exciting feeling of wanting to come back, and then using that in a new context, in a new opportunity for them to be able to use the talents that they have, the things that they're bringing to the table, to ultimately get out something that makes this party, that makes this experience bigger and better for other people. So I think that as societies building and developing, as these small groups of individuals saying, hey, I'm interested in learning about this new way of living, I'm interested in furthering the conversation about some political topic or some social topic, the way that you can do that best is by trying to live that and by trying to show that to other people. So as you continue to develop this and as you continue to make these micronations, please remember that the things that you're doing, these individual efforts, that what are you doing, needs to be appealing to people, and it needs to connect into kind of an overarching theme for your nation. And this sense of identity, this sense of excitement, this sense of sort of a place of being, a purpose within that greater group. Wendigo says, hold up. A lot of questions. Bumpkin says, as a gay person myself, protecting a trans person or gay person doesn't mean he has bias. Interesting. This is a really interesting conversation about trans rights in the chat. We need to hit this up later, but I want to finish discussing this. Rocky Mountain says, I imagine saying, why are we? Jedi Prince says, protecting someone is part of the culture. Yep. Jedi Pierce, that was a great point. Real quick, I do want to kind of stop talking about the topic and talking about the video to just say I appreciate what just happened in the chat. So people were arguing back and forth about, us as Aeternians, like protecting our citizens and protecting people who have different identities. And it was really interesting to see somebody say, hey, you mean they were just like sticking up for their citizens and they were just doing, what a government and what a nation, just a group of friends is supposed to do for each other. And then everyone said, yeah, it was really cool. So shout out Jedi Pierce, shout out Bumpkin. I appreciate you guys. Imperial Kingdom of Salem says, "Hi, do you remember me? I believe so. Have you been in the Discord before? We may have had a Discord conversation. I know I've seen you in the chat before." FBI says, "Yeah, what happened?" Everybody's saying like loading. I hope there aren't loading issues. It looks like the stream's good on my end. Everybody's putting loading issues. Hang on. It says my stream quality's good. CPU 12.4%, 30 frames per second, 0 drop frames, 2,693 kilobytes per second. It looks like it's doing alright. I don't know. Let me know, guys. Um, the primary point that I'm trying to get to today, though, and the thing that I wanted to talk about most importantly in tonight's stream is just that understanding for Eternia. What does it mean to have a nation that is built around not only people expressing themselves and not only creating like individual constructs and assets for people, but in a larger theory sense, what does it mean for a nation to try and do that and to simultaneously keep a culture of themselves, to say, yes, we are trying to build and create things for our larger community, for our larger culture and our group, but then how do we keep a group consensus as to where that goes? And what does that mean for continually building? What does that mean as leaders of micronations who are actively making the steps and putting those things in place? Are you excluding too much? Are you including too much? Do you let culture develop 100% naturally, or do you take the reins to some extent? And I think that ultimately defines that what do you do question. Kind of saying how are you doing things, not only in the methodology of what you're doing, but in the whys and in the reasoning for doing something, and keeping in with that larger theme of your nation is really important. If you're going to be like a Dungeons and Dragons style, like medieval fantasy, like if you're a complete fantasy nation, let's say, just generate like fake, complete fantasy micronation, then you would probably, want to stick to medieval stuff. It'd be weird if some of your people had like laser guns and some of your people had like 6 shooters and then some of your people were like in full like knight regalia. It would be very confusing to people. And then if you explained, oh, we're the kingdom of ye old Cheshire, people would be like, what? But there's cowboys and there's like space people. I'm very confused. That doesn't mean that it can't be that, but in context, it looks confusing, and it takes people a second to realize what's happening. So, in that purely two-dimensional hypothetical scenario, where you're completely constructing like a set of people, you can come up with, okay, well, no, really, it should be all of these medieval fantasy. Everybody should be like a wizard and a knight and a king and a queen and all this stuff. But when you look further into it, people are individuals and people are going to develop in the ways that they want to. So it's a more nuanced approach in practicality as to how to let a culture flourish and develop on its own, and also still kind of, guide its direction, kind of angle it. And I think it's a very large sweeping approach, and I think the more that your culture and sense of self develops as a micronation, it becomes harder and harder to do that. So you really want to, when you're first starting out, when you're first getting your small group of people together, really honing in on what that means for you all. Because if not, then it becomes this issue of, okay, well, now there's people with an identity crisis, people who are split, people who are having, these large differences in their political beliefs and their ideologies, and even the way that they physically see the infrastructure and government set up. That can all become chaos really quickly that you don't ever think of as problems until you hit them. And those are some of the more serious ones. Those are some of the more extreme cases. But even in the lightest cases, this can cause confusion as to the narrative of your nation. You know what I mean? If you are trying to present yourself as a nation with a certain set of beliefs, if you're trying to present yourself as a nation with a certain, aesthetic even, just the way that clothing is designed, the way that, the styles, the things that influence it. If you have people all over the place, it makes it harder and harder for those who connect with what the main theme of your nation is supposed to be to do so well. And you could say, well, nations are made of many diverse groups of people, and that's 100% true. But I think there are ways, and very, very clever ways, of having everybody be able to participate and to do the thing that they want to do, but still understand a common theme. To let everybody create their piece in their own design, their own way, but still having people feel comfortable agreeing to that general direction. Um, the United States has like a theme and an aesthetic. It's like freedom and American democracy and even this aesthetic of like barbecues and Fourth of July, and there are things that in California and movies and all of these things, Wall Street, all of these things come to mind when you think of like blanket general America, Texans even. Um, but they're also diverse as well. There are so many different types of things. Um, but there have been things that really hard clash with the concept of America, and that people have directed away from. And so it's really weird to see the culture of nations shift and develop over time. But it's also important to understand, for better or for worse, this is how a nation is viewed by the larger scope of the world. And the reason that's important is because if you don't like the narrative for your nation, if you don't like the way that it is painted, you being aware of that and you understanding, what are we doing in any particular moment really helps you to clarify and really helps you to understand for your nation, this is our view. This is how people view us. This is what we are doing. This is how we are working. This is what we can change to either continue to further that aesthetic, if it's a good one, if it's one we like, if it's the narrative we're trying to capture, or if it's a bad one, if it's one that we don't identify ourselves with, if we don't want to do that, or if it's just not the most efficient or productive way to go about getting your goals. There have been plenty of times actively developing the Empire of Aeternia where I will go through and I'll develop something and I'll realize, hey, this isn't the best way to do this. There's a better, easier, simple solution. But if you write yourself into a corner saying, hey, I'm doing all this because of this particular reason, and this is so integral to my nation that it's like a moral or like value set, to change it, it becomes difficult in the future to then like go a different direction. So in solidifying the culture of your nation, in developing those what are we doing, and developing those why are we doing them, it's really important to understand that general direction that you want to go, and understanding that that may lose you opportunity if you choose to go in a different direction later on. Because I have seen in the Empire of Aeternia, and as I've continued to go out into the micronational world and learn more about other nations, this happening more and more and more, and seeing it as a large kind of fundamental problem in the way that the community develops their nations. That is, it's not like the first tier step to overcome. A lot of the first tier step stuff that we talked about is just like overcoming surviving as a micronation, being like existing and around and relevant for a sustained period of time is a hard thing to do as a micronation. But then going beyond that, it is, especially with very little income, very little resource, and we've talked about all that in the past. We will continue to talk about that and actually make upcoming kind of refresher videos on those, because I want to update some of the series. But for that larger second step, the next big filter for a micronation, the next big cutoff for them, a lot of the time comes down to, well, what is it that this nation is doing? And are they portraying themselves? Is the sum of their pieces something additive? Is it something that is, improving the value of their nation and giving the right projections of how they want to move forward? Or is it doing the wrong things? Because a lot of time you can find out like flaws in the logic of the way that somebody's developed a system, or in the way that a group is acting and interacting together, if you can just identify those what are we doing? So those initial concepts about what the group is and how their narrative is written. So if you can change that, you can change things about a nation, and if you can understand that, you can understand a lot of what's going on from a nation, even on the outside. And that's something that I feel like I've noticed more and more. Ooh. Wendigo clapping back. Ooh, this is interesting. Hey FBI, how are you? Jedi Pierce says, I was about Eternia from another micronation. I haven't seen any culture here. Hey, Jedi, I appreciate you bringing it up. So tell me what you feel like we're lacking. Like, hit me up. I would love to talk it out. Because have you read our Guided Foundation and Principles? Have you checked out our website? We do have a culture. It's been developed over interactions with lots of different citizens, and it's something that I feel like is really near and dear to my heart, especially because it's stuff that I've developed as like personal morals and like developments over the course of my life. So I would love to talk about it. Maybe it's not even, and that's another part of this concept here. The what are we doing? And the reason I phrase it, what are we doing, is because that affects so much of people's understanding of what you're doing. Maybe it's not that, like you're saying, Eternia has no culture. Maybe it's not that we don't have culture. Maybe it's this concept that we're not expressing it the right way. Maybe we're not getting it out there enough. Maybe it's so cluttered that it's hard to sift through and it's hard to get the bigger picture out of. But nonetheless, I want to do it, and I want to do it well. So in going about this, I would love to get feedback like that of saying, well, I have a question about this, because then I can answer it, and then we can narrow it down, and we can make a video about it, and we can discuss the whole thing. But having a lack of that feedback loop, having a lack of those responses and developments, makes it harder to be a sounding board, makes it harder to adapt our culture to the audience that we're serving. And I think a lot of the time that is really good internally. I've had a number of situations where I've been talking to one of our citizens about Eternia, and they'll ask a question. Even people who are just filling out the application will be like, hey, so I don't understand this particular little tiny question, which may seem nitpicky in the moment, but ultimately like leads me to thinking a lot and starts to develop a whole train of thought for, well, if we need to define this, then we need to define this now, which means we need to define this. Because people feel like different things are important in initially encountering a nation and what they think of as a community. One of the questions that was asked recently was like, what's the legal like age of adulthood in Eternia? And I was like, oh, that's crazy, because I would automatically just associate it with the age of adulthood in the nation that you're from, in the macronation that you're from. I haven't seen many micronations talking about my nation's age of adulthood is different than the nation that I'm from, but I could see it being a reasoning. I could see it being someone's interest. So in Eternia, the age of adulthood is 18, the same as in the United States. However, we do allow, in many instances, for people to get into social opportunities and social contracts and things like that, as well as professional opportunities, so long as they have the express consent of adults who are their guardians. So essentially it's the same as the United States, but it's such that it allows us to take an individualized approach. It allows us to look at situations and say, okay, well, what are these people trying to do? Are they doing it in a reasonable way? And can we ensure that there are people supporting that person in their endeavor? Like, does this make any sense to try and approve? And that's a part of our culture. You know, that's something that I wasn't super concerned about. One, because even in the macronation that I'm in, I'm older than the age of adulthood. But for other people, that's something that affects their decision. That's something that helps them to understand what it's like to live an average day in the Empire of Aeternia. Okay. Benjamin Backover said he may be doing his homework. Winningo said, bruh, consider. May I speak to your manager? FBI said, lacking real culture. Winningo said, how would he lack culture? FBI said, like, real world, non-online culture. Ooh, that's interesting. Have you seen the video where we went to visit Steven? That was one of the craziest things we done recently. We went across multiple states. We traveled like a considerable portion of the U.S. to be able to visit one of our citizens in real life and shake their hand and discuss with them. This has been like that's one of the weird misconceptions that I feel like a lot of people have, is this concept of, well, if you're an online nation, if you're doing things online, if you're interacting, then you don't have any real world culture. That's not true at all. Do you see the hydroelectric power that we have? Do you see the connection to our citizens? Do you see the connections we have to other actual micronations in the world who have sent us things, more things along the way. Like, these interactions came from the internet. They started on the internet. But nonetheless, they were very real, and they had very real world effects on our nation. They allowed us to advance and to prosper in the real world. Like, you set them as mutually exclusive things, and they're not at all. They, in fact, assist one another. If you have a really strong presence in your local community, which I assume is what you mean by real, non-online, in your local geographical community, then that means that you may get more support online because people will see a larger connection to a local community, especially in your local community. There will be people online who didn't know about it before, who will learn about it because it's geographically relevant to them, and then they'll go, oh, this is a thing in my town, I guess I'll have to go check it out. Like when you look up restaurants to eat at. But in micronationalism, and in economies, and in business, small business, and all of these things, it works the reverse the same way because it's just a cultural interaction. It's just people, communicating. It's a method of communication. So these people are real people who live in the world, and we're discussing with them, and we're, getting support through our Patreon. We're getting support through our Etsy. We're exchanging items and culture. We're developing culture actively, and that influencing other micronations. For example, through our Unity Medal, showing support for the micronational community. These are things that are all relevant. The risk tournaments that we hold, like, they are all things that affect real people. They're all things that really affect us and come back to us and develop us further. This stuff wouldn't be here without all of the real world interaction that we've had. Delvera, rocks from visiting Steven. This is more me. This is like an influence from me and me wanting to develop and create. Somebody from our online community celebrating in our Discord our 5th anniversary. Tiffany, a real person who was affected by our micronation and cared enough, at least for me personally, to develop like a wonderful, sincere gift because she knows that it means a lot to me. So that's all effects that this idea, this thing that would be considered, this online non-real, it's something that has an effect on people. People view it as a real, legitimate thing, and so do I. So that being the case, regardless of whether you think it does or whatever, it is having a real world effect. I just ask that you try and understand it. And that's what I want to try and do, is to properly explain what we're doing and to continue to move forward. Because I'm explaining what we're doing. I'm telling you, hey, this is my thought, this is my development, this is my pursuit, and here are the results of that. I hope that I can get great feedback, and a lot of you give fantastic feedback on, hey, great job, I'm glad you're doing that, or this is weird, like I don't understand why you did it like that, there would have been a much simpler way for you to just do it this way, or, well, I don't really see why your culture works that way, because my culture works like this, and this is what we found to be more effective, so it looks like like you're doing the opposite or whatever. We're not cool with that. And that's all great. Like, criticisms or praise are awesome ways to support us. But if you're going to criticize or if you're going to praise, do it with like sincerity. Do it with like some specific foundational concepts, and let's talk about it and let's move through it. Ooh, Jedi Pierce said, Aeternia seems to follow the trends of its citizens, but not give them recognition. Ooh, I will hit you up on that as well. So, like, what should we do for recognition? Because I do like this. Like, I legitimately like the development and talking through, okay, well, this is something that I have seen as something that I am critical of in your nation, and it's something that I would like to have an answer to. So, for me, the development and credit of our citizens is first and foremost. We credit people who aren't even our citizens. We have people who donate content to us on our YouTube channel, who we discuss with, like, at length, those people, and talk to them, hey, thank you so much for donating the content. This is, what we're interested in. Some of those people even doing so, and also applying for things like a citizenship license or things like a sovereignty license, and participating in the games and stuff in our community. When they do that, we take that content and we upload it, and we say special thanks to no. For a long time, we used a country ball that wasn't developed by us, but was developed by somebody from another nation. And we credited, like on Instagram, we would use that as a thing, and we would credit in the description, like, special thanks to for doing that. And in the same vein, we have done that for a lot of YouTube videos. There have been YouTube videos that are made by other people that we specifically tag, made by this person, go check out this channel, whatever, because we're trying to do this feedback off of other nations. We're trying to learn from these other nations, and we're trying to help that adapt our culture, adapt our development. So saying that we like ride the trends of our citizens, well, sure, because I feel like it'd be weird if you didn't. I feel like it'd be weird if everybody who was around you and who was supporting you was telling you, this is what we're interested in, and you said, psh, I'm not trend riding. I'm just gonna develop my thing completely aside of everybody else. Like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do it the other way. We've even had that in the government. Like, that's a thing that's happened before. We have had situations where everybody in the government goes, because I'm the emperor, so I can make like a final decision on something, ultimately regardless of anybody else. But in our government, we have had situations before where I'll put something to a vote, or where I'll just ask for everybody's feedback. And there have been like a couple times where people have been like, I don't know, I'm not feeling this one doesn't, not yet, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel like the best place to be using our resources. And I back down, honestly. It requires some push, I'll say. Like, there needs to be evidence, and there needs to be like solid reasoning. But if everybody's like, this isn't a good look, I don't appreciate this, we change our tactics, because your government, your citizens, your culture, your community abroad, in some way or another, is reflective of the rest of the world. The difference is, these are the people who are actively interested and engaged in what you're saying. These are people who actively want to, at very least, see you continue to exist. So that being the case, listen to them. They're saying, this is what we enjoy, this is how we want to see this develop, so it's important to take that into account. Of course, we ride those trends to that degree, but we also have internal development. That internal development is driven by our citizens, by people in our Discord, by people who are active in this community, because they're saying, I totally get what you're saying, I 100% want on board, I want to be a part of this, I want to help develop it, I want to add my own spin to it, and that's what makes something cool, you know what I mean? That'd be like if you developed Minecraft, but you didn't let anybody do like, like artistic creations. Like, you have to develop stuff, but you can't develop it in any way that looks unique or special. It all has to be developed in this very specific pattern, so that it, so that you can't follow trends, so that you can't like do things that are reflective of your community. So that way Minecraft doesn't become something that's community driven, that Minecraft doesn't become something that is an expression of other people's interest and, so, internal creativity. Of course that's what it should be, because that's what makes it unique. That's what makes the culture of it, so cool. And I think that's the same thing for Aeternia and micronations in general. It's weird to not adapt and develop to your community and the people who care about and are interested in what you're doing. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, everybody's jumping around. There's like some significant discussion going on. Uh, what? Is he trying to use politics to try and get on it? I'm so confused. I'm Okay, I'm so confused by what's going on in the chat. I'm gonna just keep going and kind of jump back. But for real though, if you guys have more questions, please hit me up about it, because I want to talk through these concepts of how Aeternia is developing. I actually have a special announcement tonight that I'm gonna like break tonight, and I'm gonna start actively like doing stuff with tomorrow. I'm gonna make like a detailed video, put that out in the next few days, but and maybe do another stream this weekend if I can get time. But I want to show some stuff pretty proud. There's some stuff that we're going to be launching that I want to get to. that's a part of the development in the culture of Eternia. So one of the things that got me thinking about these what are we doings is the concept of moving through production as a method of developing your culture. So saying, cultures develop to some extent out of necessity. Saying that cultures to some extent develop because there are resources around and there is a need to fill. And so people are creative, people are inventive. They come up with ways to integrate those things into their daily lives in a way that works and is bettering for their lives. So for us, one of the big things, the big cultural pushes for us has always been technology. With myself getting educated in a STEM background and really wanting to move forward the progresses of my own, individual stockpile of technology and of equipment that I can use to study things further and to develop more and more on my own. I have looked into lots of different manufacturing processes and lots of different material processes. And one of the things that has always really stuck with me is blacksmithing and metal melting. So essentially, like metals purification, stuff like that. Cultures, as they have always been defined around wealth and around, what makes something valuable ultimately. And so the connection to wealth for a lot of human history, and even to this day to some extent, has to do with this image of precious metals. And so, rare things that are difficult to some extent to get and to purify, to perfect. And metals are a great example of that. And so it's kind of a skill test to say, hey, I can do this and I can create this thing. So with our added abilities there and our interest of kind of showing off and flexing those abilities to allow us a larger support network, to allow us larger explanation of what we are trying to do and a path forward for doing that, I have really wanted to develop an arc furnace. And not just an arc furnace, any kind of furnace, any kind of metal melting apparatus which I could use to refine, purify precious metals and then sell to you guys in the form of just the purified metals ingots, as well as in items that we could develop into the future. A lot of my development of a micronation personally is based on self-sustainability and of trying to promote a support of your internal society. So, of course, you're trying to connect with other people. You're trying to grow. You're trying to pull people in to show them the benefits of living the way that you do, and hopefully get them to become a part of your society. But as you're doing that, it's really important to think about, what the methods are that you're going about doing that, and saying, okay, well, if we are ultimately consumed by and have to completely be supported by another nation and their economy and their infrastructure, then it's harder and harder to ascribe something as uniquely us, as uniquely Eternian, as uniquely, Parkistopian. There are things then that you can do in manufacturing processes and the creation of things that make something more and more unique to you, make it more and more identifiable as connected to your nation. And for us, that has been through that metal melting. That is our first kind of big venture into nobody created. This didn't come from anywhere. We took our waste in the form of, aluminum cans and aluminum foil and things like that, and we turned it into a purified raw substance, and we, then stamped that and sold it off at a value. And we created value there. We also created culture there. We made something that can be instinctively identified as Eternian, because it doesn't look like anything else. It didn't come from anywhere else. It is something that was designed and inscribed by us. And that defines us to some extent. That leaves that mark. That adds that culture to it. So when you think of our unity metals, that's us. That's Aeternia. When you think of our imperial notes, that's us. That's Aeternia. Our flag, our symbolism, that is us. And when you think about Aeternian metals, that is us. So, in addition to all the other things that we're doing, in addition to the seasteading, in addition to the development of our land purchase, which I want to talk about, we are bringing you precious metals. So, we have developed our first half-ounce aluminum ingots. Now, this one isn't stamped, but it is very, very nice and a very clean, smooth example of Aeternian arc furnace technology. We have purified this little chunk of aluminum. It is a half-ounce, and I want to stamp it as a half-ounce and send it out as our very first production from our forge. So, our arc furnace. So, as we continue to develop there, as we continue to show things off there, I want to move forward to the next thing, which is our furnace is so powerful and so capable that we have also been able to melt copper. Now, it's not as pretty as our beautiful aluminum ingot here, this method that we've been perfecting for months and months, but we have gotten something that we have not been able to do before, to melt down this nice copper. These are about the same size in length and in, rough volume. In fact, this one's probably significantly smaller, the copper. But the aluminum here is half an ounce. This copper is an ounce. So and the price between aluminum and copper scrap value is significantly different. So we are going to be pursuing the creation of aluminum ingots and selling that to you all, putting that on the Imperial market, which you can check out. Link should be in the description below for the other things we're selling, like our stickers, which is one of the things that, again, develops Aeternian culture. But we are also going to be trying to get and perfect this copper ingot. And right now it's not in an ingot form, but it is a nice, beautiful, thick chunk of copper, and something that uniquely describes our culture, I feel like. If you guys would want some kind of just, it's pretty pure copper, but it's this, dragon scale looking like half shiny, half matte red aluminum, which comes from an Aeternian arc furnace, something that, develops this look this way. Please let me know, because it is a really interesting process to watch, and it's something that we could easily make like souvenirs out of. We could take chunks like this, and it's, pure copper. It's an ounce of copper, so it has some inherent value. And we could carve holes into this, and we could make them into necklaces, or we can make them into little pieces that can be paperweights or talking points for showing off some of our Aeternian culture. So I am super excited to be showing that stuff off to you guys, and if you want to start buying that and like setting it up, please let me know, because I am very excited to be releasing these. We're going to be probably releasing the aluminum ingot within the next day, and then from there we will be taking orders, and then from there we will be trying to get these shipped out as well and start producing some copper ingots. Now, the copper ingots will probably be a bit different in price than the aluminum ingots, again, because the copper is more valuable inherently on the world market, but also because they are harder to make. It took probably twice the effort that it did to melt that down to melt this down, and it's a significant difference in density, it's a significant difference in size, but to get a full solid ingot out of that, that would probably be like 2 ounces or so, and would be very dense. So it's difficult to get it to make that shape and to form properly. But we're actively advancing in what we're doing, because it is a big part of developing what it is that we are and who we are. Another big part of who we are, which I don't think has been talked about enough, and which I want to explain as one of the what are we doings, is this concept that Aeternia is trying to go for its land growth, and doing so by obtaining and purchasing that land. Right now, Aeternia is where Aeternians are. So I am here. This space that I occupy currently, I identify as Aeternian. And the citizens of Aeternia, everyone that I've talked to, everything that has been set up thus far, indicates that the people who have the ability to and the means to have identified their property and their belongings as Aeternians. And so it is incredibly interesting to see the diversity that that creates and the development, like some of our beautiful art and some of the things that we have been able to receive based on those cultures and those geographic locations. But we want to start grounding ourselves further, and we want to expand what we can do. You know, if we have an acre or two of land, we can do stuff 80, 100, 500 times as big as this. You know, there is a lot that we can be able to do, and at a very fast advancing rate. So, that being the case, it's important that we identify those little things which feel like, you know, just bubbles in and of themselves, you know, these little moments of culture, but not really forming this larger thing, and step back and look at the bigger picture and see that those necessities, those things that we're forming because it's the next step to what we're trying to do, ultimately are our culture, and they define something about us. Now, it does clarify that we need to be better about trying to project that culture and trying to tell you guys, hey, this is Aeternia. Aeternia is about metal melting. Aeternia is about freedom and prosperity and supporting itself based on its own culture and its own development. Aeternia is about the support of other micronations. Aeternia is about the expression of our values and beliefs as individuals in Aeternia. But ultimately, it shows us that there is a need for better understanding and better clarification about the concept of culture in general in micronationalism. And I think that is why these what are we doings are so important. And looking at it from the perspective of physically, you know, production-wise, what are you making? How does that work? To what is your government? You know, what are we doing as a concept? What are we as an idea? That all connects. You know, these little individual pieces sum to a bigger picture. Real quick, I want to jump into multiple different things. Jedi says, "Are you like an Eternian?" Wendigo says, "I'm not an Eternian." Ooh. And that's another thing. I wanted to bring that up as well. Is that because I saw somebody mention this in the chat or something very similar to this. We are trying to purchase land, and the whole point of my spiel back there was to say that we are trying to purchase land, and that land purchase money has been completely supported by you guys. I haven't, because of my investment into the channel and investment into equipment to continue to support that on a thin budget as it is, have not been able to invest directly into our land purchase fund. I'm hoping to build back my savings account a little bit better and to have that as a stronger personal method to be able to push forward the goals of Eternia. But as of the moment, I've been trying to invest in Eternia. I've been spending based on the support that we're getting and based on growing the resources that we have. And that being the case, I don't ever take out any money from what has been developed for Eternia. If you look at our website, you will see that we have a land purchase fund image on our website, and it shows a line that we are filling up to $10,000. All of the money that you will see in there is the total revenue that Eternia has made from any transactions, from any donations, from any support that we have received through Patreon or through our Imperial Market. And we have summed that together and added that as the total for our account now and our record. Now, that means that all of the cost that it costs me to make the items that we sell on the Imperial Market or the letters that we send out to the people who support us on Patreon, those are the things that come out of my funding directly. Like they come from me. They come from my personal account, and they are not tied to what we have been making and showing on our website. So, it's interesting because Eternia is very, very much about this idea of achieving the goal, of putting everything you have to try to develop this idea of what you want to do, and about trying to go about logical, reasonable steps one at a time to achieving that. It's not about going at it in an unreasonable pace, but it is about doing so in a way that is methodic, that is continual, even if it is a slow, drudging process to get there, to ensure that that goal will happen. And so that has been one of my personal sacrifices for that, is that I haven't taken any money from our initial support and continued support. It's all right there. And it's something that I actively pay into by way of paying for the costs of the things that we send people, paying for the shipping costs, paying for all of the equipment that we have. And I am grateful for that. Like, that's never like a bad feeling, because I know that it means growth. I know that it means support for us. And I know that it means that one day I won't have to do that anymore. That it will be at such a level, at such a scale, that it will be able to support itself, and that it will be able to start supporting other people, because there are plenty of people who right now want to support Aeternia but don't have the time or resources to actively commit to supporting it. And if only they could get paid a little bit for the thing that they do, if only they could get money for the content that they make, if only they could get a job, working for Aeternia, they would be able to commit so much more time, because it's something that really, really benefits them in a major way. It unblocks the things that are currently hindering them from helping, even if they have a desire to. So that being the case, we want to get to that land purchase as quick as possible, because it means an advancement for us, because it means supporting that economy to the point that it can further support itself. And that's where we're at right now. That is what the land purchase funding is for. That is what our accepting money and donations and Patreon and purchases on the Imperial market is all about, is specifically trying to identify the quickest ways that we can move forward to that land purchase, and the best way that we can make use of the resources that we have been given by people. So thank you all for the support. I'm grateful for every bit of it, and I can promise you that every bit of it goes toward assisting Aeternia grow. Assisting Aeternia's growth. Assisting Aeternia grow. Maybe. First off, Kingdom says, he sometimes sells salt. We make salt. Also, mostly the money I make is from lawn mowing. I just bought a riding mower for $400. Hey, congrats. That's a great way to improve. Kingdom of Pergal says, how did you make stickers? Pergal has been trying to make stickers for a long time. I got you, Pergal. Pergal says, I'm going to buy stickers right now. So it's really just about having a good printer. There are like sticker template things that you can purchase online, or you can go to like goodness, I'm trying to think of what the store, like an office supply store near you, and purchase some like labels, or purchase some like sticker paper, is what it's called, and you can print your own stickers. You just have to get the alignment correct on your, digitally, and make sure that you test it a few times to make sure the stickers are the quality that you want. Really make sure to tell people your like sticker material and everything. One of the things that's interesting, so our stickers are paper, they're not made out of vinyl, which means that, unlike a normal sticker, they're not going to be something that you really want to put on your car. They're not something that's like a decal. They are something that is meant to be put, on a computer or on a notebook or something like that, or even, stuck as like advertisement somewhere. It's something that's not super weather resistant, but it is something that is meant to, be a little fun, supportive gift. So they're super cheap, $5 for a pack of 4 or 5, I believe. And they're like pretty big stickers. I can actually grab some right now if we have them up here still. Yep. And so, stuff like this, where we have this sticker that has all these different micronations on it, and it's just, something that you can slap onto something and have fun with it. So, that's how we made our stickers. Please let me know how you do with yours. FBI says, which citizens of Aeternia? Does the diversity include the House of Others? I noticed the website that area was empty. 100%. So the House of Others no longer has anyone in government actively representing it, which means that we have like open spaces to some degree in our government. It's something where we legitimately have vacancies to fill, but we are trying to ensure that we are at the right size to be able to fill them. Our government grew very quickly. We went from 2 people to, well, essentially went from 3 people to 4 people, including myself, 3 people to 4 people quite quickly, and we created like a whole secondary tier in our government by adding our newest person. And so it was a thing where we developed really quickly, but it was something where we weren't ready for it. I understand that myself. I think even at 3 people, it was something where our ideas weren't fully connecting, and it was a lot of like trying to steer things in one particular direction. So I look back and I see ways to improve, and I see ways to add to a conversation. But the loss of 2 people in our government, people needing to do other things with their lives and move forward, makes it something for us where we have to reevaluate, should we have that big a government if we can't develop it properly right now? And so instead of just trying to fill the positions, we are trying to actively understand our community better, and we're trying to get more citizens who are actively encouraged by the way that we are going about things, and then helping to drive those people in that direction, because that's who we want as our government officials. That's the people that we want as our acting representatives, or people who see the direction we're going, say, I like that method, I am marching on, let's go, let's do it, I have some ideas for how to keep us going. And so as we continue, that's something to remember is, you see the House of Others, which has its whole setup, and has previously had like 2 different members, both the House Master, Master Gray Mare, and Press Noble Nathan Coburn, and both of them have left the government and have left their citizenships, I believe. And so that being the case, have left their citizenships. We confirmed that not too long ago. But that being the case, it's something that really allows me to reflect on like how we've done, how we're continuing, and make sure that the direction that we're going is one that works with the rest of our community. And so far there have been changes, there have been updates to things that we've done, but ultimately we've kept on the same path. The good news is having that restructuring and having that setup where you have your second round of people coming into a system that has been tested and battle hardened means that you have fresh perspective. It means that you are implementing something that you have ground down and gotten to the point that you like it, and then you are now finding people to better fit that mold. When you initially have something that you're creating, you can't expect people too much to fit specific criteria for it or to do specific things within it, because it's a non-fully assembled machine. You know what I mean? It's something that you are prototyping. It's something that you're actively testing out and trying to perfect. And so in doing that, there is a limitation to what can be expected and how people can go about their development. There's a lot of input into that from all sides. But once you have something that is tried and true and successful, you can then better say, okay, so now I know what I need in this position, and I can look for a specific candidate that's going to be moving in that direction. So it's a learning experience, and it's a way of properly developing a nation. So I am 100% glad to hear people asking about the House of Others, because the House of Others is our cultural landmark. It is our staple. It is our way of projecting who we are. And I think one of the easiest things to point out about Aeternia is saying, well, hey, I don't fully understand the culture of Aeternia, and saying, well, hey, the Aeternian government actively has 2 open spaces where its cultural division is. 100% reflects the same nature of the 2 faces of a problem that we're dealing with. And it's something that is a good thing to continue to develop. It is something that we need to take seriously as one of our testing points in continuing to climb and grow as a nation, because it means we're further solidifying what it means to be in our government and how our nation works. As we continue to solidify that, and as we continue to progress forward, that means that the next time we're getting even more solid, and we're just fine-tuning details, and we're making sure that these things stick better and better. So we have gone through our first trial stage. We have gone through our first initial testing and development and understanding of what it means to have a nation and a government. And now we're going into how do we improve and grow that nation and government, which is crazy. You know what I mean? 5 years seems like it would be quite a bit to develop and to have those things. And I feel like there are plenty of nations who have a lot more than we do in a lot shorter a period of time. But I feel like I have learned so incredibly much about what it means to be Aeternian, And that has been like really well rounded in my own personal life as to how to relay that to people. So now I feel like I've become a really good spokesperson for my own micronation and for the way that I live my life. And so it's great and easy to be able to convince people of what it is I do and why it is that I do that, because I can say, just come along with me. Just, view what I do online and take a tour in the day of my life. Take a tour in a day in my life. If you can come with me, if we're in the same location and we can show you, hey, look, here's our forge. Here's how I do things day to day. Here is our Discord community. Here's who I talk to. Here's who I hang out with. Here are the different topics that we've been covering on the channel. Here are the ways that our economy is growing and developing. Here are the stages that we're trying to get into for our growth. All of that, like, here are the things that are upcoming in our community that we're excited about. That makes us who we are. And now that all of that has been developed and fine-tuned and perfected, it's come to this point where we can take all of that information, and when somebody is presented with it as somebody deciding whether or not they want to be a citizen, whether or not they want to be involved, they can get a clear understanding of, this is what this community is, do I want to be a part of it or not? And there are better and better questions that we can ask to see if somebody fits the criteria that we're looking for. Because of course we're not having these super strict, stringent criteria for who can be involved and how that can work, because we want a diverse community. But we do now have an understanding of what those questions are and how we want to ask them, as far as better fine-tuning the population that we're looking to have. A lot of that is developed in morals, and a lot of that has been developed in the way that you view the society you live in. What is your role in society? And that's something that we've been asking ourselves a lot as Aeternians. That's something that has actually changed and modified our citizenship application. Our citizenship application has, I believe, 2 additional questions on it than it ever has. One of those questions, and both of them being moral questions, ideological questions. One of them being, do you believe that everybody is created equal? I believe it's phrased something like that. Basically saying, do you believe that everybody, regardless of race, religion, sex, creed, national origin, all of that, is the same inherently as human beings, as flesh and blood? Do you think we are all equal? Should we all be treated as equals in society to some basic extent? And that's something that's super important to us. That's a very, very easy shot question. That's something that most nations should have just straight on, but it's something that is important for us to fine-tune for ourselves. Another one, because we've seen, arguments in our community about, well, what is Aeternia's stance on this thing, and what is, who's accepted in the Aeternian community. And so we've started to say, hey, not only are we going to address these specific instances, but now we're going to make sure that we further shape and develop the community to go in a direction that's friendly and that has assistance and support from our ideology. So in addition to that, our next question was, do you believe that everybody in society should have some base standard of living? And that, to me, is another big one. That focuses on morals, but also on economic values. If you feel like as a member of a society, you should be 100% on your own and independent, and nobody should ever, affect you, and you should never affect anybody else, well, then that's not great for participation in our nation, because it means that you're not really interested in helping us to develop what we're trying to do. It means that you're not really interested in supporting us, whether it be monetarily, whether it be with your time, and we want active, engaged citizens. So as we continue to do that, asking people, do you think that this nation should make all of our lives better to some way? Do you think that there should be some basis for the standard of living that you have as an Aeternian, for what you can expect to gain from the status of being an Aeternian? And for me, that is of utmost importance. And I think that's another way that we've kind of started to shape our community and develop who we want as citizens. Because citizenship ultimately in your nation is a privilege. It's something that you should treat with great respect and with reverence. It is something that you should understand is going to get more and more complex as you go through the development of your nation. but it's well worth the time to craft that out. And don't do it too fast either. Don't create, a list of 800 different laws and regulations and concepts for why you're doing something, and then have to backtrack and refine tune, 10 million of those over and over and over and over again because you went too specific too quick. But don't wait too long either to do something. When your community is shouting something at you that you need to develop, that you need to work further to specify. Ooh. Interesting. Wendigo said, it is an empire, a nation, or even a state that I'd... Wendigo says... a whole bunch of people. Hold up. Going back up, because I want to read the chat. Lots of stuff. Jedi says, not gonna lie, I have a lot of questions about Eternia, because he feels like it's a little sus. Hit us up with all these questions. Jedi Pierce says, what is realist? What does that mean? You be making up words here. Yeah, so all cultures throughout time have made up words. This how words are formed. Like, words are all made up. But yes, we are creating words here. And no, we're really not, because we're using terms that are already used in a particular context, and we're applying them to this context to specify meaning for a particular context. So, realist in a micronational setting, in my definition of it, and what I described in our realist versus fantasy video, which you can check out, I describe talking about nations which have the primary fundamental goal of either becoming an independent state, an entity all in and of itself that can fully independently represent itself to other nations around the world, or extra outside of the earth when that day comes. The other question then is whether you are trying to simply create something for the joy of creation. The reason that I ask for realist versus fantasy, and the reason that I debate, this is the important point to focus on in defining defining micronationalists and separating them into groups, is specifically because it allows for enough generality that someone can be in one camp or another and feel comfortable there, but it is also something that isn't too crazy or controversial to describe. When you're talking about a micronation, you can figure out by talking to them pretty shortly, and you can also figure out by external view from working on and understanding the creations that they have made, whether or not the goal of those creations is to create something that is meant to be applied in real life, that is actually meant to be developed and used by other people for their everyday lives, for consuming their identity and the way that they perceive the world, or and to develop a society out of that, or if it is to simply create something that is a fun culture or a fun concept to play with. There is a variety of realist and fantasy nations. There are nations who say, we are very realist, we are really trying to create a country, but we are trying to do so in a very, very specific way. I have a friend who is an anarcho-communist, and not a micronationalist, but I think they should be a micronationalist. But the reason that they claim themselves not to be a micronationalist is because they say, well, I have this idea, I think everybody in the world should shut down all governments and then create a new government that's based on these anarcho-communist ideas, and based on everybody, being able to share and work together without any government oversight, without any direct control or hierarchy to that. And so the concept of that is interesting, but when asked about applying that, when asked about specifically what the steps are in order to do that, their response is, well, I do not think that you should try to like advocate for it. Everybody should just realize it. Everybody should just understand that it's what we need to do, and it will all happen at once. It shouldn't be a process that slowly develops over the world. It should be something that happens all at once, instantly. And if that is the case, that is a very realist concept. That is something that they really want to apply, but their methodology for applying it is incredibly narrow, so it may be very, very hard to achieve and may not be achieved because of that. But that's a realist nation. That's an interesting version of a realist nation, but if somebody was really trying to develop that and trying to do that, then that is a realist nation. They just have super specific context for what success means to them. As opposed to a fantasy nation, which may have very, very realistic looking things, but may not be specifically interested in development. For example, when you have nations who create tons and tons of treaties, for example. Treaties are something that I personally, as a micronationalist, am always very skeptical of, because there are nations that you will see on the internet and around the world who have a ton of treaties with many, many different nations. And you will then inquire to them about what their interest is in those treaties, and they'll say, well, we are establishing relations with these other countries. And then when acquired about, okay, so how does that help you to continue your goals? How does that help you to, further develop your interests? They will boil down to, well, it's not really about that. It is about doing something fun and interesting. There are nations whose backstory is, well, there was a giant octopus that tried to eat everybody, so then we all grew lasers out of our eyes and were able to disintegrate the octopus that tried to eat us. So that's why we're a seafaring, futuristic pirate community that only believes in destroying the eternal octopus god that haunts our dreams. That's something that you can tell is not based on developing real substantial methodologies for affecting people who are largely living in the world. This is something that is based on refining a specific narrative that is based on something that was fictitious in nature. It is something that is a fantasy. It was developed as a fantasy. It was developed as an interesting way for describing something that would become the narrative for a group, but the narrative of a group who was not meant to create any external development outside of their community. They're interested in what they're doing specifically because it's what their small group is doing. They have no interest in growing. They have no interest in trying to further their claims. They don't need justification from anybody for what they're doing or why they're doing it. The main thing that separates realist versus fantasy nations is that desire for recognition, that desire for viewing. And I think sometimes that can be very murky in micronationalism, because there are plenty of people who do things with the intention of recognition, but that aren't necessarily realist. They aren't necessarily things that are the word recognition can be fuzzy in micronationalism. So that being the case, the desire to be approved of, the desire to be identified as a real nation, is what makes something a realist nation versus not a realist nation. And more specifically, the methods that they go about doing that and showing their realism or their fantasy nature is what determines that. So that's my definition. That was a long one, but it was far up too, so I'm going to jump down further. Percol says it means micronation is based in real life. That was a very good short description, Percol. I'm sorry I jumped into such a long rant about that, but I feel like it's important to clarify and define. If you want more definition, go check out that video, and I will potentially make an update one, like further clarifying, because this has been an interesting conversation. Wendigo says realist is actually made up by AP. It refers to micronations that want independence. 100%. Wendigo says the opposite of a micronation that's just for fun. Yes. Wendigo says by most definitions the Confederacy was a micronation and really wanted independence. It wasn't just for fun. Agreed. But it also, it had people die over it, and it was also like really sad. Like it was a negative thing, but yes, they really did want independence. NTC says, it's been a thing in the community. I'm not sure what that refers to. Percall says, I can't buy your note $30 for shipping, but your sticker shipping is for free. So I'm buying the stickers. 100%. We got you. Jedi Pierce says, AP, how is then Eternia an empire in realist? 100%. So an empire, let's look up the definition of an empire right now. I'll hit you guys up with some beats. Hey. While we jam out, I will be pulling up this for us to look at. Okay. Don't make fun of me for having to step on my tippy toes to try and make this argument. Definition of an empire. Looking it up. Okay. Let me jump over here and I will be clapping back with these responses. Let me jump in. Okay, hey guys, as you can see, we have now entered the realm of the internet so that I can show you guys a definition here. Let's jump over to the definition of empire. So, okay. So, first definition, an extensive group of states or countries under a single supreme authority, formerly, especially, an emperor or empress, so the Roman Empire. In that definition, we are a realist empire because we are made up of several different disconnected communities. We have communities in every geographical, physical place that our countrymen are. So therefore, these are little pocket areas which we govern, which we control, that are surrounded by the territory of other nations. We are an empire because we are spread around the world, and yet we are very, very tiny, but have control over those areas. That is an empire. That is expansive. That is an extensive group of states, of little areas, territories, that we exhibit control over. And that is how we are an empire. I am the emperor of those areas around the world. Secondly, a large commercial organization owned or controlled by one person or group. That is also fitting the definition of Eternia. We are trying to make money. We are commercial to the extent that we are creating commerce. We are selling. We are trading directly with the public in order to increase the wealth and value of our organization, our empire, our government. And we are controlled by one person, me. Definitionally, we are an empire. That is what we aspire to be, and that is what we are. That is the style, that is the methodology for Eternia. And that is ultimately one of those questions of what are we doing? We are an extensive group of people around the world who inhabit little individual states, their own properties, which are then directed control to the empire, the greater empire, which I am the emperor of. That is the Empire of Aeternia. And that is why we are the Empire of Aeternia. I'm glad to see you buying the stickers, Percall. I will definitely hit you up. Jedi Pierce says, AP, how is Empire in realist? Yeah, again, we defined it. Percall says, watch his videos. Wendigo says, Aeternia is realist empire because they want to spread, basically sums it up. Wendigo says no. Percall says no. Jedi Pierce says empire though. Percall says everybody says that empire. Okay. Ooh, we're getting these ads in. Yeah, y'all love these. I love these so much. When a fresh ad sneaks up behind you, starts blasting in your ear, it's great. Okay, so NTC says, oh, so the House of Others is the culture house. Then how come the most two cultural people left? First off, that sounds like hard opinions. That sounds like really hard opinions. Also, if you define the two most cultural people as the people who were the government representatives of that group, then yes. But you could say those are the most cultural people in the empire, because by definition they were raised to be in the highest status in the thing that defines the culture, and they left. And why did they leave? Because of their own personal interests. You can ask them why they left, and they will tell you. But the thing that is most important about that is, regardless of the reason they left, they said, this is no longer within my ability to support. This is no longer within my interest to support. So their view of their culture for their life was different than the view of the culture of Eternia. And that's important. You don't want people who have a different view of the culture of their life and of the world to be the people running your organization. If your organization is doing something different than that, if your organization is trying to pull in another direction, because that it then isn't an asset, it's a detriment. So you want to make sure that everybody has alignments with what you're doing and developments with what you're doing. And the people who were a part of the House of Others were fantastic at that. And they will tell you that themselves. The thing that is important for us now is to say, okay, we know who we are, and we have these positions for people to come in and really make a difference in how our culture is explained and understood. So we need to find people who agree with that culture and people who identify with it. If you no longer identify with it, that should not be held against you. That should not be something that is defined as you are still the cultural, that's a lot of baggage for somebody to take on. You are the cultural representative of Aeternia forever. Until even if, your identity changes from that of the Empire of Aeternia, you still always have to be a part of it. No, that's not fair. That's not reasonable. People change. Their lives change. And we should allow and encourage that to happen. Those people are still affected by the Empire of Aeternia, regardless. They contributed to it. Their faces, their names are on it. They are exhibiting a part of what it is. And so in that, we need to respect it, and we also need to understand that there are going to be new people who come in and change that and influence that and help us to grow and develop in many different ways and in many different directions. So we have to make sure that we keep track of our eye on the prize and knowing where we're going, and making sure that we try and further fine-tune the direction of where that goes by the people that we support in that and promote into those positions. Those people are all, by the way, actively... Nope. Gonna hit the mute button so we don't listen to this music video. That's a huge part of developing what that citizenry is, and that's based on all of these people being appointed to their positions and not voted in, for example. Wendigo says a nation or even a state that is imperialist is an empire. Nate says, oh, so the hell, yep. Wendigo says technically Texas could be considered an empire. Wendigo says, NTC, what do you mean cultural? Agreed, it seems very opinionative. Let me jump back to the cam setup. The True Crime channel said, nah, hey, what's up? Okay, we have a lot of people talking. Let's jump in. Utrayli says, hi. Hello, Utrayli, how are you? Let's see. Okay. We got a ton of people jumping around. Yes. Governmental theory for micronations, productivity. Thank you, Prakal. So, if you remember what we were talking about previously, the sum of this stream has been talking about, okay, so you're developing a government, you are developing this concept for what it is you were trying to do, and you have to ask, what is it that we do? What is it that we're trying to do? That is based in productivity. That is based in defining who you are and allowing the culture of your nation and the identity that all the people in your organization identify with and aspire to be able to direct the flow of work. That is productivity. If you have people who all have a different idea about what it is you're trying to do and are all trying to pull in different directions in order to achieve that, that means you're not productive at all. It means you are hurting your ability to grow. And so we are talking about this culture, and we're talking about this productivity, and we're talking about it in the context of a theory for our government as micronations, because it is a huge effect that I feel like isn't being clarified enough in the micronational community. That identifying what your culture is, identifying who you are and what it is that you are doing, taking a look from others' perspectives, your own perspective, as to what it is that defines your nation based on how it does things, what it does, why it does them. Creating that culture and that understanding helps you to get a sense of the same page that everybody needs to be on. And I feel like a lot of people would think that their micronations are on the same page. A lot of people have back and forth with that. But, for example, sociologists say that, once you get a group of a certain size of people, you can't come to a consensus anymore. You can't get, after I think like 10 or 20 people or something like that, it becomes very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get everybody to come to a single consensus on one idea. Now, you will have ultimately a majority, you will have preferences, but to get everybody to agree to the exact same thing under the exact same definition, 100%, and everybody to have no qualms about that after a certain size becomes nearly impossible. So it's a good thing that we're running into differences in opinion, but we have to make a decision at that point. That's a fork in the road that we have to choose a direction on. And so you have to make sure that your entire community, your entire grouping is understanding of that direction, so that you can have people who support you and who are trying to help you grow to be the same people who are going in that direction. Because there may be people who have very, very positive interests for you and very, very positive support for your nation, but who just want it to develop in another way. And there's nothing wrong about that at all. But you have to identify for your nation and your culture what it is that you are and clearly explain that to people, so that way people don't accidentally end up trying to accidentally causing delays or conflicts in your nation because they were trying to help, because they were trying to do something good. So as you develop, remember that. It's important. That's why we're talking about productivity as it relates to micronational theory. That's why it still ends up being a video about culture somehow, is that we are talking about trying to understand what it is that people in your nation want and how they see your nation, and then using that to actually declare what it is that your nation is and what it wants. It's a complex topic, but it is something that needs to be delved into. And I tread in this water very lightly because I know there may be misinterpretations to what I say, and I know there may be people who don't fully understand how all of this connects to itself. But it's the idea that your people influence your culture influences your people, and that cycle is something that is really, really important to get right. And that's something that I've been taught along the way. That's something that I've had people actively teaching me and actively showing me, both through successes and failures, is, hey, you have to modify what it means to be Aeternian. You have to modify what it is you're doing and how you're saying you're doing things so that you can truly and accurately represent what you mean. Because if you say things in a way that others identify in an opposite or in even just a different way, it can severely limit what you can do and how you can go about approaching the goals that you have, because you've stated in a particular way, hey, this is how I'm going to do things, and there may need to be recontextualization for that if you say something that people interpret otherwise. So all of that being the case, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, defines who you are, and who you are defines how you'll do things, what you do and why you do them, and how you say you'll do them. It's all affecting itself. It all affects your productivity. It all affects how much you can go in a particular direction. It is this concept of, if you have a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of time, a certain amount of effort, a certain amount of money that you can put toward a goal, you better be very clear on what that goal is, because you need to be able to follow a very linear path toward trying to achieve that. You need to have defined specific steps for how to go about that. Because if you're trying to go in 100 different directions, then that energy, that time, that money, that effort depletes very, very quickly, spreading out all over all of those different concepts and all of those different methods for achieving what you're trying to do. That's hard. That sucks. So don't do that. Don't fall for that mistake. Don't develop your nation in a way that severely limits its initial outreach and its initial definition to its community. Do it right. Define it right. Don't try and over-define things and then have to backtrack, because that's like saying, oh, we shouldn't exhaust all our energy in 100 different projects. We should exhaust all our energy going the opposite way that we're trying to go. So that's also a bad idea. You want to move along, and as you move along, further and further define the direction that you want to go. You can start very broad and very general and very non-specific. But as you do that, you will understand. You will come to those forks in the road where you say, hey, people in my community disagree about this. People in my community want to know this, and get a clear, concise answer for what it is that we feel about this direction we're going, what we're doing, even just what project we should take up first. Okay, that's defining a direction. That is describing who your nation is and what it's doing and why it's doing it. So that means utilization of resources, that means proper productivity, and that means growth or decline for a nation. And that's a complex, high-level topic to talk about that has many layers that are very briefly introduced here. But it's all to say that that is what building a nation looks like. That is what defining a group of people, which is a complex, interconnected, biological organism amalgamation that is ever growing and ever evolving, down to a methodology, trying to understand it down to a consistency. It's going to be hard. It's going to have a lot of variables, but it is necessary to do because it's human beings. It's human beings that are on the line in trying to play with this stuff, and so it should be taken very seriously. Okay. Ooh, a lot of people jumping in. Okay, so Percall says, what's the stream about? Yep, got you. Wendigo says, AP tends to ramble a bit. You know I do. I have a lot of thoughts that I'm thinking. I have a lot of things that I'm trying to explain because I'll sit on these for like a week or two. I'll be actively working on other stuff in my life and be thinking about and seeing other nations doing stuff in the community and thinking, why is this happening? What is the benefit for this? Why do people keep going in this direction? So I want to talk about it. Sometimes I will hit walls. I'll be doing something actively in the micronational community and I'll realize, oh, I'm dumb. Oh, I haven't been doing this the right way. Oh, I need to try and fix this. Or I need to reorient myself. Why didn't anybody point this out to me? Why didn't I see this happen in other nations? Why didn't I identify it if I then realized that I have seen this in 100 other nations before? Why did I fall for the same thing? Is it something that micronations are just destined to run into at this step, or is it something that is an issue that can be avoided? So that's why I ramble. I like to talk about those specifics because there's somebody who appreciates that. I know that certainly. There is somebody who, even if it's not for every topic, for one topic, there's going to be somebody who goes, oh my god, I watched that live stream and I was thinking about this problem that I had for so long, and that just really broke down like a methodology for how to do it. That really described what it is that I needed to be thinking about and kind of set me on the right track. So I hope that that does help. If it does, let me know, because I hope that my ramblings have some value there. And if not, I can fine-tune that. I can learn how to better adapt the way that I express things to you guys. Philip says, check out Declaration of Micronations, the case for legitimizing micronations, an article from the Dialogue Journal. Wendigo says, monkey thing. NTC says, the Foundation and Principle book is sounding like the Communist Manifesto. Interesting. Have you checked it out? I haven't checked out the Communist Manifesto, but you should check out the Guide to Foundation and Principle. I'm curious to see how it does compare. Let me know. That's not the intent, but let me know. Jedi Pierce says, Philip Fippin, can you post the link? No. Actually, we don't really want advertising on there. Please don't post the link. Kingdom of Percall said, hello Kingdom of Percall. True Crime Channel says, I agree 100% very. So hit me up, talk to me about what it is. Wendigo says, why is there a ton of alt accounts here? That is a great question. Wendigo says he isn't talking about an anarcho-communist nation, he's talking about a person. Yes, I'm talking about a person who, like, wants theoretically for there to be an anarcho-communist nation, but they're not, like, developing it. That was previous in the conversation. Again, I'm, like, far up in the comments. I'm trying to get through them all. Etruyali says hi. Hello, Etruyali. NTC says the person who supports it. Percall says, what is he talking about? Seafaring space people. Yeah, it was... that was talking about like a concept for a very fantasy nation. True Crime Channel said, what on earth are you talking about? It's fantasy nation. Describing a description of a fantasy nation. You guys are asking me realist versus fantasy. Jedi Pierce said, going on a trip on our favorite rocket ship. Yeah, you give me. Jedi Pierce got it. That was the conversation. That was the main person I was trying to get to, so I'm glad it went through. NTC says, wow, that's so funny. Percall says, that True Crime Channel, what do you mean? Oh, interesting. True Crime Signal says Kingdom of Recall, stop acting thirsty. What it? I'm confused on what that means as well. I appreciate their support, by the way. It does seem like there's a number of like alt accounts jumping in real hard. Um, uh, Kingdom of Recall says, what do you mean? True Crime Channel says, oh, very hard. Now it's just weird. Okay, I'm scrolling through this part. Ooh, when Dingo said you're in love with Sugma. Oh no, when Dingo, you're roasting him. Jedi Pierce says, so not realist. So absolutely not. Couldn't be. Percall says no. Percall's like getting into it. Percall's like, no, tell me. Tell me, please. Please let me know. Please inform. Aiden says, hello, people. Hello, Aiden. I'm sorry if you jumped in the middle of a crazy comment section, but the comment section is popping off real hard. Let me know what you think about the conversation we've been having about economics and about people and about culture, how that affects itself. Let me know what you think about the development of our nation. Is it clear? Do you understand it? Because that's what we're talking about tonight. We're trying to define and understand what nations are, why they are, how they are. And are we clear in that? You know, if we're not clear in that, then we need to be more clear in that, because that's what we're teaching tonight. That's what we're talking about tonight, is how much not being clear can limit you, and not making decisions can limit you. Jedi Pierce says, I mentioned, Pakal says, True Crime Channel, tell me. Aiden says, hello. Hello, Aiden. How are you? Pakal says, I feel like leaving, Kingdom of Prakal says, I feel like leaving this feels too toxic for some reason. I completely understand, Prakal. One, I will say, I hope you don't leave the stream. If you do leave the stream, I understand. I would just stop hitting up the comments, honestly, because it seems weird. Like, there are some people who are just trying to troll in the comments. I kind of want to kick them, honestly. I straight up might, if it gets too bad. I just don't want to start kicking like 30 accounts, people making like alt accounts. So I would recommend, if you're not interested in that conversation, don't engage it. I would like to talk to you though. So if you do hit me up with comments, I will hit you up. But if you do feel like it's getting weird, I would totally understand you dipping. It's not worth it. Like you getting targeted direct, it's just not worth it. True Crime Channel says, like backpot. I'm so confused. Jedi Pierce says, do these states also have to be realist? None of this makes sense, but cool. Hey, I appreciate it. Jedi, yes, 100%. So the states that we're defining, the groups that we were defining, the things that we were associating with states in the definition of empire, means to us the collective pockets of people who make up our nation. So everybody who becomes a citizen lives somewhere. To some degree, they sleep somewhere, they eat somewhere, they inhabit some physical space. That physical space, if it belongs to them, they will give in support of the Empire of Aeternia. They say, hey, I'm an Aeternian. I am supported by and governed by this nation. Therefore, this nation's territory is here with me. All the space that I occupy, the materials that I own, are a part of this government, of this community that I am a part of, because I'm a part of it. So that's what I'm talking about. We, as a government, create policies, create methods and efforts of attaining the goals of our civilization. And then the people who are our citizens help us to enact that by supporting it and by developing it in actual projects. And there's a mix of that happens in a lot of different ways. But that is exercising control over those states. Those are realist groups of people, because Aeternia is realist. We are saying, this is what Aeternia is. And then all of these individual people are saying, I am Aeternian. I represent that ideal, that concept that has been defined as the word Aeternian represents me in this world, in this space that I occupy. So that is how. And there are people all over the world who are actively doing that. So that is why. Particularly in the United States. The United States is the vast majority of our citizenship, but that's also spread all over the United States. And some of that is all over the world. Aiden says, very sad. How do you make alliances again? Per call? Okay. Okay. Interesting. Percol said, this is too toxic for the this live chat. I like chilling here and sharing about my micronation and hearing about others, but I can't chill here. Agreed, that sucks. That should not be happening. You should not feel like, oh, I like can't be me here. That's not cool. I will straight up kick accounts if that keeps happening. Um, ooh. Um, Aiden says, how do you make alliances again? Are you asking me specifically, like how the Empire of Aeternia goes about alliances? Because we have an alliance application that you can fill out. We've been actively trying to reply to more and more of these, but it takes time to like go through and really discuss what it is that a micronation is trying to do and how they're working about it and responding to these. So it takes time. We have been slow on that, but we're slowly making our way through. If you are interested in that, if you are interested in getting an alliance with the Empire of Aeternia, write us. Go on the alliance application, describe your interest, describe what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and we'll see if we can be a part of it and if we can help. Um, Percal says, okay, I'll tell you. So when we make an ally, both the Prime Minister and the King have to accept. Oh, okay, so it's for Percal, how Percal makes allies. That's cool. I'm glad, Percal, you were able to talk more and more about your nation. That's what we want here. Aiden says, I see. How do I make alliances in the same as you? Percal says, cool. Percal said, thank God those two are gone. Agreed. Aiden says, the founder or me and the Prime Minister or above has to accept. Ooh, cool. Percal says, I feel okay again. I'm really glad, Percal. That's important. Percal says, cool. Aiden says, very happy. Jedi says, AP, you're a good spokesperson, but I haven't seen any motion in the government. Seems like you run more ads than being realist. That's fair enough. That's one of the big things that I've learned as a micronationalist, and specifically as somebody who is trying to develop a country. You have to advertise. Like, you have to hit it up. Because when you know what it is that you want and you're fine-tuning that and you're making that bigger and better, you have to really stress that. You have to say, this is what I'm trying to do. Let me clarify. Let me explain. Let me show you. These are the different opportunities that are available. These are the different things. And ultimately, that increase in advertising has specifically been because we're trying to get clarification out there. Because people ask us what the prestige system is. People ask us, why are we an empire? People ask us, what is our government structure? People ask us, why are there changes on the website that I don't know about? All of these things are things that happen more and more frequently because we're getting bigger and bigger. And so when there are a whole bunch of question marks that pop up in people's head when they think about Aeternia, because they aren't able to keep up with what current Aeternia is, because they aren't able to see all of the different sides of it in real time and all the updates in real time, it feels very hard and very confusing for people to attach to our nation. So we try to step that as best we can and say, hey, here's an update about us. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're thinking about. Here's how we're working it. If you want to get involved, this is how you do that. And then we move on to another topic. And so that covers us in chunks, in sections, but we don't have enough manpower to update on everything we're doing constantly. So that's why. That's why we're advertising. That's why we're showing that. It was good to see you, Jedi Pierce. I hope you can talk to me more and tell me more about what you think. Gotta go. See ya. Kingdom of Percal says, bye. True Crime Channel says, I'm leaving because the Kingdom of Percal, you just lost a sub and a view time since you want to kick me without knowing the whole story. Fair enough. I understand. I'm sorry to hear about that, but at the same time, I want the community to stay happy and engaged. So again, that's one of those crossroads things where you're like, I would leave and not be a sub anymore because you don't understand my point of view and because I am doing something different. And so then I'm saying, okay, well, is it more important for me to understand this person's point of view and to accept what they're doing, or to see how it affects my general community and to say, well, this person has such strong disagreements and such strong effects on the general community that it's causing an overall negative effect on the general community, then yeah, I'm making a decision about where to go with that. So I appreciate you being a sub. I appreciate you viewing. If you feel you can no longer be a sub or view, I completely understand that. You got to go your own way. You got to do your own thing. You have to select and narrow down what it is that you want to view on the internet and the world. I just hope that when our nation comes back up and you learn more about it and you hear more about it as we get bigger and bigger, that you will identify with that and you'll see, oh, I understand maybe now, or maybe I'm looking more into it. But for me, I'm going to make that decision and I'm going to feel happy and content to support the members of my community that we have and to show them that I appreciate them and to show them that I want this to feel a comfortable space for them. Then I want this to be something that they can feel proud to be a part of and excited to be here for. So I'm glad everybody's happy. I'm glad everybody's like chilling. Percol says, so what? Subs like you are not subs. Agreed. I agree with that. Percol says, and I never said I want to kick you. True Crime Channel says, okay, baby. That was interesting. Percol says, just stop. Now it seems like I'm the bad guy. Percol, you're good. Percol, stop. Like, you're good. You're chill. The people are just arguing for argument's sake. And it's not worth it. It's straight up not worth it to have like arguments that are hurting people's feelings in the comments. We're just trying to like all exist and talk about stuff. So I want to have fun here. Ultimately, this is about expressing who we are, what we're doing, how we're going about it. And I want people to enjoy that. And I want people to feel like they took away some information from it and had fun. And they were able to impart some information on me. So if any interaction in the chat is impeding that interaction that I have with the audience, I would much rather clear that obstruction. Aiden says, sad face. Percol says, I'm not reading the chats for the true crime anymore. Fair enough. Agreed. I don't think they're like in here anymore. Like they're just straight up not. Aiden says, I have made a new ideology for my new microwave. Ooh, hit me up. What's the new ideology for your microwave? I imagine you meant micronation. Aiden says it's called Visterian monarchy. Ooh, that sounds cool. What is Visterian monarchy and how does that work? How is it different from regular monarchies? And why did you choose a monarchy for your nation? We are a monarchy as well. We're an absolute monarchy. A lot of nations have absolute monarchies or constitutional monarchies is a really popular one in micronationalism. So I'd be curious to see why you chose monarchy, what your interests in it are, and how Visterian monarchy connects to either absolute or constitutional. I imagine it's going to be some mix of both. Percol says, cool. Agreed. I think it's really cool to have somebody hitting us up who's creating like a new ideology. Again, that really like narrows down. When micronations do something that's a big statement like that, I am creating a new ideology. I am defining a new thing for my nation. That's generally like a subset of a lot of ideas. Like by saying this is the government structure or this is the way that something works, it clarifies a lot about the micronations' goals, their intentions, their methods of doing things. And so for that, it is a huge task to be able to say, well, I want to support this nation and I want to do these different things, but I have now seen, all of these updates and all of these changes in making a micronation and in making big sweeping changes like a new government structure or like, setting in place a new policy or something, or defining a new opportunity, a new goal for your nation. All of that creates a lot of standardization and a lot of definition that people may not have had before. So somebody who joins in and supports your nation at one point in time may see something that changes their view simply because they're like, oh, I wish things had gone in a different route. Now that I see how it's defined, it's different than what is in my head. So that'll change their perspective. But ultimately, that's the point. That's the goal, is not necessarily to be the most appealing to the most people, because if you are, then you're not specific. But you also don't want to be so specified that you don't appeal to many people at all, or that people can't understand what you're trying to do. So every time you grow and every time you develop, there is more and more like explaining and advertising that you have to do so that you can make sure everybody's on the same page as much as possible. Because it's really worse to have a whole bunch of people say, well, I support this nation, but I don't know what this nation is or what it does, than to have people who are few but can say, hey, this is what this nation does, this is why they're doing it, this is what their interests are, and this is why I like them, that shows a lot of connection, that shows well-roundedness, that shows realism. Percol says, cool, how old is Aeternia? Aeternia is 5. Aeternia is 5 years old. That's crazy. 5 years old. That means Aeternia has been around the sun 5 times. The Earth has been around Aeternia 5 times, and in that time period, Aeternia has existed. The Earth has gone around the sun 5 times, and Eternia has grown and developed into what it has been in 5 solar rotations. That is crazy. And we're getting bigger and bigger with every turn around the sun. Aiden says, I have sent an alliance request to Prakal. I will now wait for your response. Prakal says, got Discord? It says, nah, but I have Google Chat. Prakal says, do you have Gmail? I don't have Google Chat. Aiden says, yeah, but do it by Google Chat. Oh, goodness. Here is my Gmail for Vista. Oh, okay, cool. Prakal said, there's only 2 people in the chat. Agreed, it's you guys. I appreciate y'all hanging out. And also, tell me what you think about the topics that we've been talking about tonight. You know, does productivity, as far as defining what your nation is and why it's doing things, is that helpful? Is that something that you are interested in talking about? Because I feel like for my nation, Aeternia, that has become more and more and more of an important milestone that we start hitting into. You know, whether it is an initial idea that develops and then I have to specify down and kind of fine tune before I release it, or whether it's something that I release and then it gets developed and it gets used by the community, and then I see, oh, this isn't working the same way as I thought it would in my head. Then I'm having to actually like make changes in real time. And I feel like all of that loops back to the same concept, the same theory problem of, well, how really do you define what it is that a micronation is and how it's doing that, and format it and explain it in such a way that it is well understood by the community that's involved in it, that people feel like they get it, like people feel what being an Eternian is. And getting the answer to that problem, solving that, is the $1,000,000 question in micronationalism. Prakal says, that's my email, and then says, I'm the only one here now. Wait, yes, 2 people here now. Hello. It's very good, Prakal. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of it. Also, I think Aiden's like jumping in and out. It's good that you guys are hanging out, though. And I am really curious about your thoughts on this, because the more that we live stream, the more that we do this stuff, I feel like the more that I get to know everybody who hangs out in the chat. So, Prakal, you know, you've been here for a good long time. At least for, it's been over a year. I'd say maybe 2 years even. But that is something that I've enjoyed seeing, is seeing people hit up so many, or maybe it's just that you've been in so many streams, like in such a compacted period of time, that it feels like you've been here for a very long time. But every time I see somebody's nation pop up in chat, every time I see a screen name pop up in chat, it feels more and more and more like I'm getting to know that person. It feels more and more like I understand the direction that they're going. So then when you guys have questions, I'm like, oh, here's where Prakal comes in. Here's where I know people are going to be supporting this. Here's where I know people are going to have answers to this question. Or, hey, I think this is like interesting of what Aiden's doing. This is something that, you know, Aiden really hasn't talked about before, so I think it's going to be like a turmoil in his nation. I'm curious to see how his nation is going to like overcome this obstacle with their ideology or with whatever. I start to learn about the direction of these nations, and I start to be a participant in it to some degree, because I'm from the outside interacting with it and getting to know you guys and seeing that development. So as Eternia ages, as Eternia gets older, as, you know, our nations collectively spin around the sun together, as we discuss micronationalism, I'm watching in real time that growth from the other side of the screen, and that's a mind-blowing thing. To see you guys watching me, and to think, you know, I'm back there to some degree watching you through the comments, and understanding that there is some group out there who is learning and who is developing from this, and being able to see that feels so refreshing to me and feels so gratifying to me in doing this. You know what I mean? We've been hanging out here for 2 hours, and I've been talking to a group of friends on the internet. I've been talking to a group of people who care about what I'm doing and who enjoy watching what I do, and that I am able to directly support and to give advice to. And that means the world to me. So thank you guys for your dedication and for your support. I'm going to read the chat. We have more people jumping in. It's good to see everybody. I appreciate everybody jumping in. I know everybody was like going in and out, but it means a lot. We have Windingo still here. It's good to see you, Windingo. Prakal says, hello. Conman NoJ says, hey, I was about to finally get to bed and saw you streaming. Wow. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for jumping in, Conman. It's good to see you. Conman NoJ says, I've never seen your stream. Well, congrats. Welcome to the stream. I'm enjoying having you. We have been talking about a lot tonight. It's really interesting. So first off, Conman, if you've never seen the stream before, you're going to get to see something that is brand new that nobody has seen yet, that I unveiled earlier in the stream, but the people who haven't been watching the stream won't get. So you have a special surprise. We're dropping the first Aeternian ingots. First Aeternian ingots, Imperial ingots, right here, pure aluminum, ½ ounce. We are putting those on the Etsy either tomorrow or the next day. We are going to be making a video about it and dropping this very, very soon. So if you're interested in supporting Aeternian industries, if you're interested in supporting Aeternian foundries and aluminum making, please support that. And in addition, we are working on copper. Yeah, we are trying to improve to the point where we have melted copper, and this is about an ounce of copper. This is pretty heavy, but it's pure copper. We are trying to perfect this into an ingot like we have this beautiful piece right here. So as we continue on, as we continue developing, please keep watching out for that. But we are advancing, and this is something that's a part of our culture. This is a part of something that defines who we are and how we are creating that success for ourselves with your help. So Conrad, I hope that pays off for you. I hope you enjoy that and get to understand a little bit about what that is. I also hope it makes you interested in watching the streams more after the fact, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that gets covered in the streams that people never get to know about Aeternia, because they will be like, oh, I didn't watch the stream, I didn't go back and watch the previous streams, because streams feel like a more in-person interactive thing. But if you do watch them, you will get to understand a ton of the real-time updates that we are doing, that we are giving to everybody. So thank you for participating, and I hope it encourages you to go back and watch some of our previous streams. Percall says, wow, his streams are fun. You should join more streams. Agreed. Percall says, smiley face, welcome. Aiden says, hey, Percall, did you respond? Conman says, I just might. Thanks for the welcome. Agreed. Welcome, Conman. Percall says, Aiden, I have not gotten an email. Percall says, wait, you commented on my video. Aiden said, yes. Percall says, okay, I'll ask the Prime Minister of Percall to see what he thinks. Hey, perfect. We're getting some trade, some discussion, some connections in that chat. I'm glad to see that. So they continue there. He says, one half. I says yes, but I need the Prime Minister. Ooh, okay. So there's a vote. Conman says, oh, cool. I'm keen to see. Republic of Aeternia says, hi. Hello, Republic of Aeternia. It's good to see you. Did you see our cool aluminum ingot and copper ingots that we're starting to develop? We're dropping those very soon. The copper, we're going to have to continue to develop, but if you guys want rough versions like this, let me know, and I can definitely do it. It looks like a dragon scale a little bit. It's really cool. It's pretty, and I just love it. It feels really heavy. It's so much heavier than the aluminum. You have no idea. But this is our beautiful little aluminum ingot here that we are going to be stamping and starting to sell. ½ ounce. This is an ounce of copper that we can either sell like this or that we're going to start making into our things. Oh, I wanted to wait until tomorrow so it's not loud. I want to do it with the hammer.
No, I have a better idea. I want to go try to stamp it without like hitting it. Can I go try?
Are you going to dent it?
With the letter, yeah.
Ooh, well, I want to do it in a specific pattern. I want to do it in a specific way.
Well, you can always remelt it because you're going to remelt it anyway.
Oh, with that one? Okay, you can do it with the copper. All right, Tiffany's experimenting with our stamping. I want to see how she does. So this will be interesting. You guys will get to see an active event happening in Aeternia, the first stamping of one of our ingots. Conman said, wow. Aiden said, greetings, Aeternia. Percall says, hey, Republic of Aeternia, hi, my ally. 5 watcher. Yeah, we're growing. We're coming back. Now that the chat has changed and is positive and exciting, people are jumping back in. I appreciate that. And that's the kind of decisions that you have to make, and that's why it pays off to make decisions like that, is to understand, hey, you have to support people. And so I appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat. I appreciate you guys supporting us. Conman says, I'm glad I dropped in. Thanks for sharing, man. Of course. Earlier, we were actually having some crazy stuff that happened in the chat. There were some people who were like hardcore trolling. They were like bullying people. It was becoming a big issue. And then they were getting upset that they weren't getting more attention in the stream. So I'm really, really glad that we've had a positive turnout at this half of the stream, and that we're really starting to get a lot of interaction, because we need to feel some good from the community. You know what I mean? When people really push the community and are mean and are problematic, it makes people want to leave. And so the more that we can show our support and show our interest and our efforts, and in the efforts of others, we can really bring together people and do some incredible things. This was just sent to us by a person who just cares about us. That's one of the most mind-blowing things that I have. This was hand-given to us by somebody who visited this nation. Gray, this was incredible to get, like, life-changing things that can happen simply because someone said, I appreciate what you're doing, and I would like to give my thanks for that. And I appreciate what you guys are doing for us, and I would like to give my thanks for that. So, thank you all. Utreya says, I am good. Conman says, oh, dude, I'm also known as Nosum, Naj, or John Mason. Hey, wait, John Mason, have you not been in the stream before? John Mason, you're from Jet Streams. How are you? It's good to see you, John Mason. We have talked before on Jet Streams. I'm almost certain you have been on our streams before. If you haven't, welcome. I appreciate you. Conman said, that's good. Say hi to Tiff. I will say hi to Tiff for you, Prakal. That means a lot. Yeah, Tiff always appreciates having people, I think, jump in the chat and say hi to her. She does a lot of work for Eternity. Like, you guys actually don't know. She, behind the scenes, does an incredible amount, and I'm super, super lucky for that. So I know Tiffany appreciates the support, and I appreciate the support from you guys. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing Tiff. Where's the letters? I think they're on the table. Yep. Conman says, LOL, this is literally, so shady. The way a hand just popped in and starts talking in the unseen background. Okay, of course. Yeah, you know, I mean, we're trying to do these active events, these live events. So one of the things that's interesting, Eternia is in like a small place. I'm in a closet right now. Like, I'm literally like in a small little area that we set up as the set for me to do this. But so we're in, you know, a tiny little area, and we're trying to move things and interact and do stuff. So it's cool. It feels bigger on screen. Like, it looks bigger on screen than it actually is. It's very small, but it's fun. It's fun to be able to kind of have this like guest check-in thing that like emerges. It's really cool to see that after the fact. I've watched clips of the streams before, especially needing to edit stuff and put stuff together, and it's funny to kind of see the interaction that just all of a sudden happens. Conman says, wow, bullying, damn. Yep. Conman says, don't let that stuff get to you guys. Agreed. It really sucks. A lot of the time people feel just like upset and disappointed and don't like something, and so they really have the need to share their opinion. And I feel like if you don't have something nice, don't say something. But at the same time, we are a government and we want criticism. We want to like be able to develop. So if you have a problem with something, definitely tell us, but don't try and make it a like, I'm causing problems in the comments. You can like send a private email and we can discuss things if you have an issue. If you have a topic you want discussed in the streams, I'm happy to do it. But we have to make sure that it's supportive and that it's something that the community can get behind, and that it doesn't target anybody in the community, especially because we want everybody to have fun and feel like this is their place to share and to get along. So if you want to see what people are doing, if you want to see what awesome things micronations around the world are doing to change the world and to actively invent and invest in their own cultures, which is cool to see. I'm like a fan of all these micronations. It is important to understand a need for decorum and to pay attention to what they're doing. Prakal says, AP, you say Utreya as Utria. Most people say it wrong. I used to say it wrong. Oh, it's Utria, not Utreya. Oh, interesting. The Kingdom of Prakal says, Conman J. No J, yeah, I was getting bullied. Yeah, this is like a real issue. People are being jerks. Aiden says, but I pronounce Utreya as Atreya. Oh, interesting. Prakal says, laughing face. Aiden says, Atreya. Or Atreya. That's interesting. Conman says, LMAO, yep, we have talked, but I'm sure I haven't been on a stream. And if I have, it may have been ages ago, and I'm mistaking it for a video. Agreed. I know you've been in videos. I know I've seen you message in comments before. I could have sworn that you were in a stream. But anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you for popping in. Also, how do you feel like things have changed? John Mason has been somebody that came actually as like one of the first subscribers when Jet like shouted us out on his channel initially, and that's really cool to see. How do you feel like we've grown since then? Have you checked in? Have you seen us like do forging stuff? Have you seen us do stuff with like hydroelectric power? Have you seen us do stuff with like our government? We've created a ton of stuff. Like this has been a whole roller coaster. It's been so cool. Have you seen like do you know about the aristocrat board? Do you know about all that stuff? What do you know? I'm so curious. Mega Cat says the suit is very cool. Hey, I appreciate it. That means a lot. I'm trying it. I'm trying it out. And it means a lot. Mega Cats, how are you tonight? It's good to see you. You might have jumped in and out real quick, but I appreciate you. Also, I haven't seen you in a stream in a minute. Hit me up. How are you doing? Prakal says, I agree. Conman says, I'm sorry you got bullied at the Kingdom of Prakal. I'm sure you're an awesome dude. 100%. And it was weird too, because it's like, it was personal, but also non-personal targeting. Like it was somebody going out of their way to just try to find what Prakal was talking about and make them the target of it. Like they would just like insult Prakal for no reason. Like it wasn't like there was any justification to it, or that it was like, a back and forth. It was just Prakal trying to have a conversation in the chat, and then people like interrupting and being annoying. It was just disrespectful. And wasn't deserved at all. Prakal, you're cool. Trust it. Nobody wanted them doing that. Conman said, don't worry about it. Prakal said, thanks. Aiden said, I see Prakal as a chill person. Agreed. Everybody here is like down with it. It's in no means to say like, oh, there was some back and forth discussion. No, the other people were clearly in the wrong. They were being jerks. We didn't want them doing it. Prakal says, thanks. Conman says, even if you want to share opinions, I feel like the way it's shared matters more than what you're sharing. 100%. I completely agree. And your intentions behind that. You know what I mean? The intentions can make all the difference in the world. And not always. You can say things with a positive intention that can still come out rude or hurtful to people. But generally, if you have a positive intention with something, you are trying to make up for that. And you're trying to think about and be more considerate of the other person that you're trying to ask the question of, or get information out of, or share something with. So as you're doing that, super critical to just be nice and to just like understand. Yeah, thank you. You get me, Conman. You get me. Aiden says true. Prakal says true. Dragon of Darkness. That's a really cool thing. It says, greetings, Your Highness. I just want to say you're a great inspiration for people who want to start their own countries / micronations. Thank you, Dragons of Darkness. That means a lot. Dragon of Darkness. First off, are you a micronation? Like, hit me up. Have you subscribed? Because if you haven't, it would mean a lot. It helps us to grow. If you haven't checked out our website, you should do all that. Yada, 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 yada. Eternianempire.wixsite.com. Link is in the / Imperial Market. Link in the description below. In all of that, tell us about you. I don't think I've seen you in the streams before. I want to get to know you. I want to see you in our Discord. I love learning about these nations. Whether you're a realist nation or a fantasy. We are realist. We're trying to move toward a realist goal. But at the same time, tell us what it is that you are interested in. Tell us why you're creating this nation you're doing, and what it is that is the foundation of that. We've been talking about that all night, how that can make or break a nation, how that is connected to productivity and to governmental building and to nation creation. What does it mean for you? What does micronationalism mean for you? What does your nation specifically, the nation that you come from, the nation that you're creating, what is it about? Tell us. Conman says, oh, it's been a while ago. I haven't seen much of your YouTube in a while, nor have I published many stuff on my own channel. Everything you mentioned sounds freaking amazing, though. I'll make sure to catch up. Please do. I have missed you, John Mason. It has been a long time. Have you kept up with Jet stuff? Jet's in like an interesting position in his life. I am a fan of Jet's channel, but I am lucky enough to get to hang out with Jet in person. Like, Jet is a YouTube personality, and he's a cool guy, and you can see that from his videos. He's super genuine. But when you get to know him as a person, when you are fortunate enough to be in the same proximity as him and you can hang out with him, it's really, really cool to see that he's the same person. He's very genuine in that, but at the same time, it feels like you're watching long strings of his videos at the same time. It feels like, you are participating in the live chat, but in some sense that you are, it's a little bit more than that. It is really cool, and I am super lucky and grateful to have Jet in my life. It's just the same as Tiffany. It's an incredible experience to meet somebody who is unique, and everybody's unique in their own way. Yeah, but the people who I've come to know and who I've come to appreciate and who are really close and important to me in my life are super, super special people. Like people who I'm blown away that type of person exists. Like it changes my perspective on the world having met them. And that's super beautiful. Like I've had like really emotional moments with people in my life who have just impacted me and who have just touched me and who have just made me feel better about my place in the world and my perspective, and have inspired me to do more and to be better. So thank you to Tiffany, thank you to Jet, and I understand, John Mason, why you were a fan of Jet. I am the same way. I am 100% a fan, and I hope that I can incorporate Jet more into the channel. I hope that you can cross channels and see more of each of us.
It doesn't look like it's like copper.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Where's the other aluminum?
I broke it up outside. It's outside in a crumbly. Also, I need to put back together one thing that you could try if you want to. Both of my crucibles are cracked in half. They're broken. Yep. But
I saw they were having holes through the sides. I was like, I'm sure he's gonna break soon.
if we can JB weld the outside, because the outside is the least hot part by far, we could put them together. I think it'd work fine. Because if you push them together, there's not like hole. What's up? I know, because you want to stamp it, but I don't want to do that yet today. If you can put together the thing and JB weld it, then tomorrow we can do it, and I'll let you melt it and I'll let you stamp it. Oh, okay. Also, ooh, a lot of stuff.
I won't stamp it. But let me show you.
Ooh, so Tiffany wants to put it in the vise and then like clamp it down in the vise.
You take your thing, you go boop, and then you
Press
press
it
down
down.
on it.
Yeah,
And
and
you beep.
yeah, I feel like that.
That's how you do it anyway.
You're supposed to hit it with a hammer.
No.
That's why the kits come with a hammer.
No.
Okay.
You don't have to hit it with a hammer.
You don't have to. No.
You can
But
do
that
it
is
this
the
way.
way that people do it. Agreed. You can do it that way.
And it's quiet.
Yeah.
Goodness, we live around other people. We're gonna make people mad at us.
But that's why I want to do it tomorrow, so I can like go outside and do. I know you could. I believe.
No, I won't do it with a hammer. If it's flat, it'll fit right there just fine, and then you can squish it down on it, and you got an imprint.
When we can get the crucibles JB welded together, then I will do anything that you want, because I can remelt them. But right now I can't remelt that, so I gotta like wait.
I'm not doing that one.
No, what I'm saying is
Just don't
let's
think it'll work
JB
on
weld it.
copper,
Let's
'cause
do
I've
it.
already gotten the copper stuck in there multiple times, and like
Yeah,
pushed
the
it
copper
down.
is just super dense. Yeah, I would hammer the copper. Ooh, we have 5 viewers. A whole bunch of people. I want to jump back into. Ooh, Lazax also jumping in. Hello, Lazax. It's good to see you. First off, a lot of people. Okay. Conman says, I applaud you on your progress. It's amazing to see how far you've come. I appreciate it. It's amazing to see how many people have supported and how many people come back and say like, hey, I was here years ago and now I'm so glad to see how big the community is. If you want to get more involved, there's like a lot of stuff to do now. So if you want to hit us up, let me know. But if not, I'm so glad to see you. Like, it means a lot. Thank you. Conman says, well done. Conman says, can you give me a brief rundown on what's happened over the years? Yes, brief rundown, real quick. Aeternia was founded 5 years ago. 3 years ago, pretty much, we started filming on YouTube. That's when you came in thereabout. We got interested, we got developed with Jet. Jet helped us start off with our first like 25 subs, just by shouting us out on his channel. From there, we ended up continuing to develop from an initial micronation that was just discussing basically the concept of micronations. And what's up? Tiff has the floor.
We didn't eat dinner, and your dad ate lunch.
Yeah, we need to go get something.
I'm gonna check his blood sugar.
Ooh, I do need to go check his blood sugar. You're right. Let me hit it up.
He's already went to sleep.
I'll still hit him up. All right, Tiff's got the floor. I gotta go do something important, but I'll be right back.
Tiff can't talk.
Tiff's got the floor.
Goodness, he's so tall. Look at that. I can't even fit in the screen. Hyper cool. Sorry. He was like pretty far up in the comments. I was trying to find something to talk about, but hi. How are you? I'm good. Aiden stands really tall in comparison to me.
YouTube Music can help you find that song from last night. Use Smart Search to find songs with just a few lyrics. Upgrade to YouTube Music Premium. Uninterrupted music dedicated to you. Try 1 month free.
standing off to the side. You silly. What you up to? You been listening to music? Hey, been playing these cool beats.
I want to add one off, but by the time I noticed it was already gone. So.
I appreciate you. But yeah, everybody, sorry for the brief intermission. I'm glad to be hanging out with you guys. Hey, we got 5 viewers. Thank you guys. So let me keep going through these comments that we have missed a lot on now. Run down over the years. Okay, real quick, run down over the years. I said I was gonna do it. After Jet gave us that initial boost, we continued to develop. We ran into Parkestopia. I don't know if you remember Parkestopia, but Parkestopia was one of the first nations to reach out to us. Initially, we were just trying to figure out what things we needed to do to develop a community, how we could get people talking about Aeternia, and that ended up being a great opportunity with Parkestopia. Once we made a connection with Parkestopia, they were a nation who happened to be very close in proximity, geographic proximity to us. So we decided to connect to them and say, hey, they reached out, said, hey, we would like to learn more about your nation, potentially discuss an alliance. And we figured out how close we were to each other, so we started making videos together. And then we made a few videos that did very, very well for Micronation especially. And then we went from there to General Secretary Brezet of Parkestopia started doing stuff in his personal life. We continued to develop Aeternia here. As we continued to develop Aeternia, I started asking more and more questions about why micronations are doing things. That led to a whole bunch of series on micronational economics, why war is stupid, a whole bunch of videos talking about the concept of micronations. We got Viren on the channel a little while after that. Viren was really cool because Viren was a guy who was an Aeternian citizen who became as close to a government official as we had before we had a government, but he did a lot. One of the things that he did routinely was to help us interview other micronational leaders. And so he had his own channel, Micronations, which I encourage you to go check out, but he did interviews with other micronational leaders, and he would post those on our YouTube channel. So we would have all of this cool content from other people in the community saying, hey, this is who I am, and this is my nation, this is why I'm doing it. And it was really, really cool. I really, really appreciated that, and I actually want to start doing more of that myself. So I'm excited to get further into continuing Viren's work, but that was the Viren era, was essentially, us reaching out further into the community, and that connected us to micronations in a way that we'd never been before, and it utilized our Discord so well. We had created this Discord initially with just a few people in it, and it kind of didn't have a direction. It didn't really have a reason. It was just, hey, let's talk about Aeternia. I'll hit you guys up sometimes and see what everybody's up to. Sometimes people would post little memes or jokes or whatever, but then it really became like people were actively, routinely hitting us up because they wanted to do an interview and they wanted to know how you get involved and how you contact people. And then that started connecting us more to our citizens on Discord. And then we started developing citizens on Discord. That led to the era of our government, where eventually I said, okay, well, we have these people who all want to be citizens on Discord, and we have all this connection, interaction. That was about a little over a year ago, where we have these people who are coming in and saying, hey, I really want to become a part of this. And that was actually Viren connecting me to Gray, and myself getting connected to Steven as well. And then Steven, Gray, and I all forming the first government of the Empire of Aeternia. And so that has developed into what we are now. We've gone through a year of that, and Gray ended up stepping down from his position and leaving. Somebody that he brought along, Nathan Coburn as well, and House of Others, ended up leaving, but we have still been developing. I got to meet Gray in person and do a whole bunch of stuff with him when the government was initially founded. He came on a summer trip to Aeternia, visited us, brought us this beautiful flag from Delvera, showed us a lot of cool stuff. We had a lot of fun. You can go check out a video on that. He actually posted one on our channel called the Heart of Aeternia, and then we also posted some videos about that ourselves for meeting our first, having our first citizen come to us locally. And so that was really, really cool. And then after that, this year, this past summer, we were able to do something crazy and actually go for the first time to visit one of our citizens in another state. We went to go and visit Steven. Steven, a continued part of our government, the master of the House of Treasure, We got to visit him. He gave us a really cool present, which was already revealed as to what it was on the channel. But Conman, since you haven't been hanging out in the streams, I won't reveal that to you too much. If you go back and watch the streams, you'll figure it out. But until then, I want to leave that a secret so you can see what that is probably like next week, because I want to film and release that video. I'm super excited about it. But he gave us a really cool present when we left. We actually gave him something as well, and then we came back. We released the video on our trip to go see Steven, so if you want to see that too, check it out. It's an underrated video by far. It has maybe like 80 or 90 views right now. We did a whole bunch of cool stuff. We went to the mountains where he lives. It was really cool. We went to like an awesome museum there. We did multiple like Aeternian things. Like we held the flag up. We did a whole bunch of cool stuff. Sorry, what's that? Yes, and we did zip lining. I forgot about that. We also did zip lining, so that was really fun. And it was just a lot of like people who had met on the internet, who had connected over this nation, who had developed this thing together, who had become culturally bonded, to then be able to interact in person and to just have fun as people, as like one-on-one as friends. That was crazy. We did more than that. We actually hung out with Steven a lot personally and talked to him and got to learn a lot about him. Had like a few like private dinners together and stuff, and really spent some time getting to know him. And it was incredible. And I only wish that I could go back sooner. So we're going to try and get more stuff like that set up in the future, but that's like a quick rundown. While I talk about that, we've also been pursuing like economic stuff that entire time. So throughout that stuff, we set up a Patreon, and that did, barely for a long time. And then we developed from the Patreon, we then developed the Imperial Market, and then the Imperial Market, we started selling stuff, and that started doing well. And so then we went, oh, okay, nice. And so then we've been trying to keep the Patreon up. The Patreon has like been doing decently, but we're still trying to get more people to like throw on the Patreon. It helps us a ton. And then as well, we've been trying to ramp up the Imperial Market. Now we're at the point where we have, we used to sell Owls Marks. Owls Marks are the way that people identify their support with the Empire of Aeternia, and specifically our land purchase. So people were buying these rings from us, which eventually became pendants because we ran out of the rings, that had an owl on them, and that symbolized the Empire of Aeternia, our national animal being the owl. One of the first videos, in fact the first video that we put out showing that as the case. So it was really, really cool to see people buying these owl rings, supporting us, and that boosting our land purchase funding. When we did that, that happened to generate a whole bunch of support for our currency, and people started like purchasing our currency, which is also for sale on our Etsy, the Imperial Market. So as we were doing, again, all links to all of this in the description. As we were doing that, the purchase of our currency started fueling what we call the aristocrat board. The aristocrat board being the people who have supported our currency the most and helped to drive our economy forward. So they are a list of the top people with the most. You want to go get something? Sounds good. Sure. Thank you. Yeah. So we did a whole bunch of that stuff. That was really cool. We got to the point where we had started the aristocrat board and eventually wanted to show support and continued support for those people. So the aristocrat board started changing a lot. We have now almost 10 people on the aristocrat board. I think we have like 6 right now, 6 or 7. And we are actively like shooting to hit 10. Once we hit 10, there won't be an addition to the aristocrat board. It'll just be who's on the aristocrat board that changes. So there will be 10 aristocrats in Aeternia. Those are the highest top earning supporters for the Empire and for its economy. So all of that has happened up to now. There are a ton of things that I'm just like leaving. We've had multiple birthdays since then. We have also, as Aeternia, we have also started a seasteading attempt. If you haven't seen that, you should go check back at that. In some of our initial videos, right around when we met Parkistopia, we had started to develop a boat. We were trying to develop a boat out of like pieces of plastic, like plastic bottles and stuff. And we're trying to do that for a long time in the hopes of building a rafter boat that would help us to explore further and do more. Well, eventually that turned into making a PVC boat, which we have a video on and which we've done a lot with, and are actually trying to put out a second video on. It's still in editing. We're trying to get it through. It's slowly pushing. But we actually made a PVC boat. We have improved that now, and so there's a lot to be talked about there as well. We've done a ton of jobs. We've done a ton of different methods for creating growth and progress in the Empire, and people have responded to it really well. We have had this incredible thing happen recently that has been in these micronational risk tournaments. It's the first time in our community, certainly, and I think in a lot of micronational communities, the first time where people have been able to get together across like many different nations and routinely compete for like prizes and awards and stuff. It's been beautiful to see. It's been really, really fun. And so I'm super lucky to be a part of that. And that's like a mark on Aeternian history right now, is just this collection of our community, this connection that is binding us together, and this method of moving forward that is inclusive to our community and that includes the efforts of our community as well. So we're doing that on a scale that we've never done it before, and that's all the steps that have led up to that, slowly but surely releasing things, developing things, modifying things, and getting to where we are now. Conman says, one of my goals is to buy an island and make every form of conflict based on perfect games like chess, etc. Imagine less wars and stuff. That sounds very cool. I would love to hear more about it. Also, tell me more about your island concept, because a lot of people in micronationalism are big into islands, and I'm curious as to the thought. Dragons of Darkness has message retracted. Hit me up, Dragons. What you trying to say? Kat says, I'm doing good. I just kind of had to stop micronation stuff for a bit because I moved, but I've got a bit over an acre at my new place with lots of space for gardens, and I'm getting some chickens next year. Hey, congratulations, Cats. I am excited to hear that. There was a micronation. I am trying to think of their name right now. I remember the name of the person who ran it, but I'm not going to bring it up right now. But I super supported them and watching them grow and develop, and then they kind of like for personal reasons dropped off, and I miss them to this day. I see their Twitter and stuff, and they don't post on Twitter anymore, and I want to hit them up so bad because it was really cool to see them. They're doing personal life stuff now, and so I would love to see the resurrection of their nation one day, but I'm actively waiting for it. And I'm excited to see your nation as well, Cats. The Kingdom of Percal says, can you tell me more about your nation, Conman? Ooh, interesting. Hitting up John Mason about it. Percal says, why are you stopping micronationalism, Megacats? I don't think they are. I think they're saying they're like revamping it, but that they did. Dragon of Darkness says, message retracted again. Stop retracting. I want to know what you said, Dragon. Aiden said, micro-Soviet Socialist Republics. Oh, interesting. Conman said, that's how I'm here right now, actually. Oh, very cool. Kingdom of Percal says, oh, the USA won't be happy. Sorry if that's rude. Aiden says, or known as MSSR. Percal says, AP, what's the time for you? Right now it's 1:01 a.m. here. It is super early in the morning. I'm tired, actually. I might hit it up and say goodnight to y'all in a little bit, but it's been fun. I really appreciate it, especially seeing a whole bunch of people who just haven't been in here in a minute. That's what's been making me love this stream so far. Conman says, sure, I don't have much of it down, but basically I'm really disappointed in how far people take arguments and disagreements. It stems from a young age with me. No, that's completely fair. That's one of Aeternia's big things as well, is like being against war. Check out our video, Why War is Stupid. We have a little like jokey video talking about it, and we've gone in more depth and more serious analysis of the concept in the present, but essentially saying that like micronations have the same thing, where even though they can't actually physically attack each other, they like declare war on each other, which is basically just being in like an internet argument or like, you know, bullying each other into submission. And it's really silly, it's really weird, and so we've talked about how war in general is stupid, and the concept of, you know, murdering each other for these like limited resources and stuff like that, and trying to conquer each other is the wrong way to go about things, the wrong way to go about solving problems and enriching nations. But that all being the case, micronations do it anyway. Micronations have gotten into the game and have started to try to insult and just undermine each other at every step of the way. And it's really weird. It's weird to see ideologies clash and that to be the reason for it a lot of times. And so we have been very, very anti-war and very, very anti-argument in the micronational community. So that's an interesting thing to see on your side. I'm curious to watch your development. Also, if you want to join Aeternia, that would just be a very, very interesting way to go about it. I would love to see you develop the idea and the dream that you have as a part of the Empire of Aeternia if you ever wanted to. It sounds like it could be aligned with very similar ideals. Percol says, the US won't be happy. Percol says, cool. Conman says, so I'm hoping to find ways to avoid or maybe reject that. I've always been easily hated by people because of my different views on life, but one day when my entire class was arguing, and that's when Lazix said hello. What's up, Lazix? Percol says hello. Conman says, but they all ganged up on me afterwards. I realized something. Once everyone is fighting but finds a common enemy, they become friends. Ooh, interesting. Percol says, welcome to the live chat. That seems like a great analysis of the live chat, even though that wasn't the attempt. Percol was trying to welcome Lazix, but yes, welcome to the live chat, Lazix. Percol says, welcome to the live chat, and says, Conman says, I like the idea of enjoy as you will once you don't intentionally harm others. Kingdom of Percol says, at my school there's a bully group. Ooh, dang. Dragons of Day, because they like that feeling. Do you think that's why? The concept of like, well, if we all like gang up on a common enemy, then we're like really good buddies, and like it's not anything negative on us, so it makes us feel better. Like, what's the reasoning for a bully group? Percol, I'm curious. Dragons of Darkness message retracted. Percol says, called the Mallet Mob, and they all ganged up on me. Oh goodness, what? The Mallet Mob? More like the Mullet Mob. Looking gross out here. More like the Mallet Mob. What? That's not even the best hammer. What? A mallet? You for real? They're the Mallet Mob? So they're not even like a, like a regular hammer. They're like a flat, just very useless. They're not like a ball peen hammer. They're not like they're not like an interesting hammer. They're a mallet. They're like the simplest, most basic form of hammer. That's really lame. They could do so much better. I'm ashamed of the mallet. No wonder they're bullies. They can't come up with anything inventive. The Mallet Mob, gross. Conman says, LMAO, what, a bully group? Wow. Yeah, it sounds like a weird gang, but not. Percol says, in this one kid, he is liked by the teachers, but, and then Conman says, nah, I'll hit you up, dude, DW. Ooh, don't worry. Hey, thank you. That means a lot. Midcat says, the Kingdom of Percol, I'm not quitting, but I moved, so I couldn't do anything for a long time. Yeah, and we're excited to see that resurrection, that growth. Percol says, he is always hurting me. Oh, goodness. Percol says, okay. Percol says, no, I'm not going to talk much more on that bully. Fair enough. But still, that's crazy. I'm like really sorry to hear that. That's insane. And I know in grade school and like in all the way up into like high school, like just being different and doing your own thing can be so hard because people will be as critical as they can possibly be. They'll go out of their way to find ways just to make you feel bad about who you are and what you're doing. But as soon as you get out of that phase of your life, you immediately realize that nobody who is actually doing anything important cares at all about like why you're doing something or what you're doing, unless it's a positive thing. Like if it can benefit them, then they're excited to support you and help you. Most people are excited and supportive to help you in whatever you're interested in, as long as you have positive intentions with it. And so when you see people who are like bullying people and causing problems, it's normally because they're not developing anything in their life. They're taking all their time and effort to just like belittle other people, and it never helps them. And as you get like older and older, you'll see like that it just doesn't work. People quit that really quickly as they become adults because it makes them disliked by a lot of people. That's why people are like so mean on the internet, is because like in their real life, in their normal day jobs and stuff, they can't just be jerks to everybody like they would want to be. So they instead, you like get in a on a computer and you like type mean messages to people so you can like have your way of getting one in on somebody, to kind of get revenge on whatever it is you're upset about. But it's silly. um Conman says, LOL, this seems like a horror movie scene in the making. Agreed. Kingdom says, at Dragons of Darkness. Oh, I want to know what they said. They keep retracting their message, so I never know. It's like a secret. It's the mystery of the chat. What did Dragons of Darkness say? Yeah, all of their messages are retracted. I can't see one. Brandy Lynn Bordeaux says, how the heck are you up at 154? Hey, Brandy Lynn, it's good to see you. We are up because it's not 154 for me. It's 108 right now, which means it's probably 1208, 208 for you. But we are up very late. Even still, being 1:08 a.m. for me, it's insane. I'm tired, honestly. Like, I'm for considering dipping soon, but I want to try and stick it out to that 3-hour mark because we got 5 viewers, and I'm hoping that we can get to that mark. But yeah, I appreciate you. Conman says, 8 viewers, dude. Well done. Hey, thank you very much. We've been trying. We've been slowly, steadily, like jumping back up and down. But yeah, the more people we can get in, the more it helps that watch time. We're slowly trekking up to that 4K. We're at 3.1 right now, finally. We're almost to 3.2. So if you guys can like help us keep pushing, we just need like 90 something watch time hours to get to 3.2K. And then 800 from there is 4K, and then we'll be able to get monetization, which has been a huge goal of the channel. Percol said for me it's 5:55 p.m. Oh, interesting, Percol. Yeah, so you're in another nugget. I understand why you can't get the other stuff. Because we only ship in the U.S. So yeah, I got you, Percol. Kingdom of Percol says sometimes the viewers get into the 20s. That's crazy though. I have never actually seen it hit over 20. People have brought that up before. The closest I have ever seen is 19, I think. I have seen 19 viewers a number of times, and that is during like big event streams most of the time. We'll either be doing a live stream about like a hot topic, or we will be doing something that is like a big event, like the Micronational Risk Tournament or something, where everybody kind of wants to jump in and be a part of it. But that's something that takes, a good bit for it to get to. Percol says, be back. Okay, good to see you, Percol. I'm excited to see you back. Conman says, those pendants are cool. How much is it on Patreon? I'm currently entering an art contest. When I win, I'll use some of the cash to support you guys. Even though I'm not around much, I appreciate the work. Wow, thank you so much. That means a lot. So the a number of things. The pendants are very cool. I appreciate it. The Unity medals. They are... the Unity medals are, I think, $5. You can't purchase them through Patreon. You have to purchase them through Etsy. Are the pendants or the medals? However, the Patreon is $1 a month minimum. So the way that works, if you want to support us, you can become a citizen even of the Empire of Aeternia by just simply paying $1 a month on our Patreon. If you do that, you get access to all of our Discord servers that are for citizens. You get unlocking special features and things like that. You get more direct access to me as far as talking about the country, talking about videos and things like that, plans for the future of the channel. And ultimately I try and get more and more help, so we'll probably try and talk about positions, things like that. But some people just give $1 a month and just hang back, and that's cool too. You can earn a citizenship just by supporting us, paying a tax, and just hanging out. But all that being said, Patreon doesn't actually allow you to get items. I want to start to put more items on the Patreon, but it's taken me a minute to get something that I can consistently put out. The stickers are something that's going to be easy for that. So I'm hoping at the $5 tier to start being and you get a sticker and handwritten like thank you note every month. Like that's as part of the $5 tier. Once a month, I'm gonna send you like a thank you note, updating you on the Empire of Aeternia and telling you like what we're up to. Conman says, I recently learned you can melt plastic waste for fuel. Absolutely. There are lots of chemical methods to recycle plastics and also to use them as fuel. Conman says, once I get a large sum of money, first order of business is trying my best to revive the problems people caused on Earth. It may take a bit, it may be a bit late, but it's better late than never, right? I completely agree. Eternia is actually a very environmentally conscious nation. Our goodness. So our nation is specifically trying to do things that connect to itself to make it more independent economically, but also are ways to make it very ecologically considerate and very environmentally conscious. So one of the ways that we're doing that is by trying to generate power through a hydropower generator. So we're collecting rainwater, we're having that pressurized, we're turning a turbine, and we're charging batteries with that. Now we're using that to then store lots and lots of energy that we hope to then use for our arc furnace. Our arc furnace is another sustainable energy project. It is something that we are using to actually fuel our economy. So the biggest interest that we have in developing Eternia is to try and get us to grow as quickly as possible so that we can do these different dreams and pursue these different goals that people want so badly and feel of like mind in our community, which is actually interesting, because it sounds like you have a lot of similar interests to Eternians, and so I am super excited to see you develop on your own, and I hope that you can develop closer to our community, because I'm sure that there will be a lot that we can learn from you. But that being the case, we are actively trying to use our furnace to develop more metals, to help us to sell more things, to grow our ability to purchase land, and we want to make sure that we're doing that in a way that is environmentally friendly the whole way through. So we used to use a charcoal furnace, super environmentally hazardous, super bad, and not able to be done in a way that is environmentally friendly at all. There was just no reasonable way for us to do it. It was also more limiting. But now with this upgrade to doing an arc furnace, we are 100% electric, which means that right now from the power grid that we use for our home, we can actually pull electricity and use that for our for our metal melting, which means fueling our economy, which means allowing us to grow. So our growth is stemmed in an ecologically friendly way. However, an environmentally friendly way. However, we don't want to stop there. That power grid could be coming from a coal plant. That power grid could be coming from any number of sources and could be something that's very harmful for the environment still. So we want to take it a step further, become more energy independent by pursuing this method of energy generation through hydro. So we want to take that hydro setup, be able to charge up batteries with it, and then use those batteries to run our arc furnace. So that's something that we can get large bursts of energy at a time for, generate our power, use it for the arc furnace, make money off of that, and then continue to grow the whole operation. But yes, Conman, I think that is a super noble goal of you. Dragons of Darkness, again with the message retracted, I have no idea what they're saying. Percal says, I'm back. Tell me the channel of the Micronation. For which one? Conman says, interesting. Conman says, I don't mean war itself, it's the consequences of it. I like playing war in games like Civilization, etc. That's the idea. What if wars are fought like that? I agree. That's actually why we have the Micronational Risk Tournament, is because people start like these micronational wars where they like argue back and forth with each other and stuff. One of the things that we are doing here in Eternia is settling conflicts between nations using that Micronational Risk Tournament. So they come in and they play the game, and then they compete to have, one, their name on our website, to kind of have like bragging rights over the situation, to kind of declare themselves the winner of whatever squabble they have, and then they also can win a grand prize from us. So it's not only like if you win this argument or this dispute you had with another nation, but you also like show yourself superior in skill to them, and you will get an economic boost by getting something of value from our nation given to you. So this is a huge opportunity that we've been actively trying to promote as a way for nations to settle disputes and disagreements. Conman says, I don't like that wars have to be a thing, but it's far better if far better than killing IRL, right? 100%, 100%. Dragons of Darkness's message retracted. Oh goodness. Ooh, everybody's jumping around. Conman says, does anyone know what the largest micronation is? I feel like that depends on who you talk to. Wendigo said, I have a mullet. I'm sorry for roasting that mullet. Some people look good with it. I don't look good with it. I feel like I have a mullet right now. I need to get the back of my head shaved. But for right now, I'll live with it. Kingdom of Procol says, no, the mallet mob is about a hairstyle. Oh, so then mullet, yeah. And then Procol said, oh, I mean mullet. Yeah, gross. Conman says, oh, the Kingdom of Procol, I actually haven't started the Micronation. It's just something I wanted to do as a child and I'm still interested in. You should do it through Aeternia. We have just a lot of the same ideas, it sounds like. Like, it sounds like every direction that you're going in, we're like, yes, please. We need people with those ideas. We need people to come and help fuel that because we already have a lot of these projects started in Aeternia. We just need people to help fuel them. If you're interested in helping to, like, promote the solving of problems through games, Empire of Aeternia. If you're trying to actively show that violent conflict is not the answer and that we need to support ourselves in environmentally friendly methods to become more self-sustaining and to become to solve the climate crisis ourselves instead of relying on these governments that have been used to running the same way for hundreds of years, please 100% jump on board. Conman says, but I didn't know the terms. Percol says, oh, I just uploaded a video to help new people to Micronations. Hey, that's awesome, Percol. Conman says, oh, dude, I'll check out the video. Have you heard of the dollars? What? Percol says, yes. Conman says, from an anime called Durara. But the site still exists. They're also into environment saving. Very cool.
I rolled your egg, dude.
Nice.
Look at it.
Hey, it's beautiful.
You saw that? It's
Thank
fine. There's one behind you.
Thank you.
We were out of bacon. Well, our bacon.
I got a cool sandwich. It's an egg sandwich.
Okay, it was expired, but that doesn't expire until so I threw out the bacon.
Did you fix my bag?
I asked if you wanted some cookies.
Do you want to give me mine? I'll go get him something in a few minutes. Okay. You want to go get something in a few minutes? Okay. 9 minutes, guys. We're going to jump off in 9 minutes, and then I'm going to go get food. I'm already eating food, but I'm going to get different food. Let's see. Said I'll check out the video. Conman says, from an anime. That's really cool. I'm glad they're into environment saving. Like, I'm really trying to promote this, and I think you have some great ideas, Con. Prakal says, yes. Con says, I'm in the US dollars, I think. Kingdom of Prakal says, New Zealand dollars or US dollars? Very cool. Conman says, dude, wow, you have some nice goals. I appreciate it. Thank you. Prakal says, I use New Zealand dollars and PERS. Thanks for subbing. Hey, awesome. Conman says, Prakal, it's actually pretty cool that you have the knowledge of the dollars. Most people I asked never even heard of them or Durara. Interesting. You gotta tell me more about it. Prakal said, my sub count went up. Hey, congratulations. Prakal said, oh, I meant the currency type. Conman said, speaking of harmful environment, as a creator in school, I was told about NFTs by my lecturer. I think once they sort out issues, Prakal says, sorry. Conman said, maybe you can make some for the patrons? NFTs for your nation. I would love to. I don't know a ton about NFTs. I know they're tied to cryptocurrency, and people argue that cryptocurrency is kind of negative for the environment because it takes so much electrical energy to run the servers that you need to Bitcoin mine and stuff like that, and to hold all this information. So I'm very on the fence about it. I just got egg all over my face, literally. Trying to eat a whole egg sandwich on stream. Live egg sandwich stream. Um, ooh. Conman said maybe each month is a different set of NFTs that will never be made again. I would love that. I'd love to do that as the stickers that we're already putting out. Excuse me. Like that would be made instead of stickers as NFTs. That would be little art of our nation. If you haven't checked out our stickers, I recommend you do. They're cute little country ball versions of our nation and other micronations. Excuse me, that was rude. Of our nation and other micronations that are in like cute little settings. So if you like them and you want to check them out, I definitely recommend it. And I would love to make NFTs based around that concept, where, like you said, you do like an original one and you'd be like, this is only for patrons this month. If you're a patron this month, you can get it, and if not, nobody else is ever getting it. And then you can keep doing that down the months. I would love that. That's a great idea. Comment says it'll naturally accumulate value, and then said, "Oh, Percol, no problem, dude." Percol says, "Be back," and said, "Back." Hey, I'm glad. Conman said, "We do share a lot of same ideals. I have quite a few goals that can possibly be achieved with the help from like-minded individuals." Agreed. I'm excited to see you develop. Conman says, "Well, dude, I'm an artist and you can hit me up for my portfolio if you need any help with that stuff." 100%, yes. I would love to have you become a part of the Empire of Aeternia if you're ever interested, because yes, we just need artists. We actively need people to help us to create advertisements for our nation. We need people to actively help us to create art for our nation, like just to help describe, like what we're trying to do, how we're trying to go about it. We need stuff that represents Aeternia, and we need people to get from a visual perspective what we're trying to do. So yes, I would love to get some new art that I could put up here. I would love to get some new things to show off on our Twitter and our Instagram. Please, please, please make some stuff that is Aeternian for us. I will absolutely. Can you send me an email? eternianempire@gmail.com. John Mason, if you hit me up, or if you hit me up in Discord DMs, I will get to you. I will 100% hit you up about your artistry. Percol says, "Can you make good-looking country balls?" Yeah, we do that all the time. I'd be really excited. Ooh. Sorry, what's up there? Can you make country balls? Percol says, "I just made the best bread." And he said, "I have made, but it grew too much. AP, I sent photos on Discord. Please review the look of my bread." Oh, I could do that. I could hit it up. Khan says, "Yes, it's harmful. Ethereum is working on a solution to the issues." So well, dude, I'm an artist. It says, "Where can I send you the portfolio?" eternianempire@gmail.com. It's a link. It should be something written in the description. It's definitely on the description of our channel, but eternianempire@gmail.com. I can even type it out for you. AP, check your DMs. I sent you a photo of my bread. Let me check out the photo of the bread. I see it. I see it. I don't even know that it's bad. It's unique bread. I would straight up eat that bread. That's great. Let me show the bread. Yeah, look at that bread. That is some solid bread. That is some crispy, thick. Well, and this is one of the interesting things. Not many people know this. I'm so glad you sent a picture of bread. I personally am a huge bread fan. Tiffany knows. Tiffany knows what's up. She's shaking her head no really hard at me. We go to restaurants, and that's my favorite thing, is the bread. I will routinely look out for good bread. I'm from South Louisiana, so I love French bread specifically. Is one of my favorite forms of bread. I love the rolls at restaurants. I'm not trying to plug restaurants too hard, but Texas Roadhouse, if you've ever been to Texas Roadhouse, they have really light fluffy rolls that have a cinnamon butter. Oh, so good. I love your bread. It looks like it's nice because it looks like it has quite a bit of crust on it, but it has that fluffy top, which is really nice, and it also looks like it has that fluffy top, which looks really nice, and it also looks like it has a decent amount of density to it. I think it would be really fluffy. I think it would be really delicious. I think it would be a nice filling bread. Conman said, "What's your name on the group?" Mine is Emperor AP. If you want to send me stuff, you can privately DM me. Conman says, LMAO, I'll send you a pic of that art I'm working on. Ooh, please do. Conman said, damn, that's some good bread. Agreed. Frickall said, that's my bread. So yum. Conman said, do you deliver? Frickall said, homemade bread. Conman said, I could do with some bread right now. I said, that looks so good, my dude. Agreed. Frickall says, don't worry. No, sorry, I have to go now. See ya, Frickall. It was good to have you. We're gonna be going here in a minute too, but let me see if Conman sent us some cool stuff. Okay, so I see that bread. I see that solid bread. Let me see. All right, again, John Mason, please hit me up at eternianempire@gmail.com. Let me go into our docs real quick. Just general docs, Google Docs, and let me get into a document, open one up, and create something for you. So, Eternian Empire at gmail.com. Super slow. Let me zoom in. Tiff said, you know what you sounded like? And I'm sure it's going to be something very silly. So, there it is.
You know that there's a commercial for apartments.com that
Mhm.
goes, it's so easy. Anyone can do it. And it's like, why? So and so is gonna do it by rolling his face around on the keyboard. And he goes, one bedroom condo apartment. And like that's how he was doing it. That's how he like said that.
I am the apartments.com guy who smashes his face into the keyboard. That is me. And rolls it around.
So leaves his place.
That is me. Tiffany. I love it. Conman said, that's okay. Enjoy your bread, dude. Agreed. Enjoy your bread, Frickall. Republic of Aeternia said, bye at the Kingdom of Frickall. Utrea. Utrea. Tell me more about your nation. Tell me more about what it is that you're doing and why it is that you're doing it. And also, Conman says, but I'll send it on there. Please do. Please hit us up by that email. I'd be super, super excited to see what you're working on, how you're doing it. I am super thrilled. Anytime an artist, I would love to get musicians as well. I want to hear some solid, like, Eternian music. We made a short one time that talked about, like, Eternian music, and people really liked it. And so I want to do more stuff with it. But I will say, guys, I am going to start winding down. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. I appreciate y'all spending some time. We have been live for three hours now. We have 4 viewers right now. Yeah. Agreed. Wendigo said, Attorney is awesome. Thank you, Wendigo. You're awesome. Also, again, everybody, if you don't already know it, I'm sure the 4 people who are here already know it, but just in case, please smash that like button. Please subscribe for me. Please comment, even after the stream. I know you guys put a ton of comments in the stream, but if you hit up the stream afterward, like once it goes as a post, and you like rewatch it and you like comment, it helps the stream to grow. It helps people to stay interested in it, and to keep talking about it. So a lot of time we get a ton of watch time hours right at the beginning of a stream, right when it's live, and then it dips off real hard after that. So guys, please continue to help us out as you always do. Thank you guys so much for supporting in us. Thank you so much for believing in us. Conman says, oh, I make rap. I would love to see some of your raps, John Mason. Conman says, but Nick's rap game is fire too. Agreed. Jet's rap is awesome. I would love to get another opportunity to do Winslow and Jet rap sessions. Yep, late nights with Winslow and Jet. If John Mason, if you haven't checked out my rap channel, Winslow, you should. I also have posted some stuff on there. It's old stuff, but I have posted stuff on there. Conman says, thanks for catching me up to speed, man. I agree. It's good to see you guys. I appreciate everybody. I will see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night, everybody. Like 5 minutes of this thing's gonna cut out, because for some reason it cuts out. For some reason it shuts down. Tiffany's showing me an egg sandwich. I don't know what to do, but I just landed. And I'm looking at you and you're just standing there eating your little egg sandwich. Oh, and I don't know how to feel and I don't know what is real with the egg sandwich. Hey, and I don't know how to deal and I don't know how to peel away from that egg sandwich. And she's trying to get me while she's looking at me. She's Tiffany trying to eat the egg sandwich. I don't know what it means, but I just landed. I don't know what a team is. I'm just standing over here trying to look like I'm just planted in the ground. Grow me out. Get me big. Let me shout. Let me tell you right now, you're the best ever. You're cute, snoot, best, clever. Ooh. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Agree. Through that theme song meme in there. You guys have that good night. John Mason said, "Oh, I appreciate you, John Mason. It was good to see you. I will." Comment said, "You don't need a musician. You already have your bars. You know it, but we need more. We need more representation." When Nico said, "Bye, AP. Bye, everybody. Y'all have a good night. I appreciate y'all. I know that rap and probably like half the other stuff is also gonna get cut out, but remember, Aeternia only micronation that has a rapping leader. We got some cool stuff. We got some medals. We got stuff we're doing. So check us out. I appreciate y'all. Peace." Comment says, "Oh, let me know if you got the email okay." Okay, real quick, I'm gonna check that. Let me make sure I'm not showing y'all my screen. Yep. Let me hit the Gmail. Let me check it. Let me check it. Oh. Let me check it. Let me check it. Let me check it. Oh. Let me check it. Ooh. I have not gotten anything yet. John Mason. So, again, eternianempire@gmail.com. I'm looking through like other stuff just in case. I don't see anything yet. It may be taking a minute to get it, but I straight up have not gotten it yet. So, I don't know. I don't know what you want to do. Lazix says bye. See you, Lazix. Thank you for hanging out with us. It means a lot. Republic of Betrayal said bye, AP. Bye, everybody. Khan, I have not gotten your email. John, I don't know what to do. Again, I would recommend like resend it. Again, we are at Aeternian Empire, spelled just like that, AETER NIANEMPIRE @gmail.com. eternianempire@gmail.com. That is us. You can also hit us up on our website. If you, again, our Discord, link in the description of the video. If you go to that email, you can send it to us as well. Emperor AP on our Discord. And if you want to jump onto our website, you can also leave us messages and images and stuff through our website. So if you message me and you say, "Hey, this is John Mason," on our website, you can fill out a little form down at the bottom. Say, "Hey, this is John Mason. Here's my email. Hit me up." I will hit you back up. It actually sends a response to my email, so I can check it that way as well. But yeah, thank you guys. Again, eternianempire@gmail.com. I'm going to straight up fix that. Perfect. Let me write this down before I leave. Let me write down this email. Conman says, "I left out the in." Okay. I appreciate it. No Sam Naj @gmail.com. Okay. I will get it. I think I got it. Let me double check. Hey, I just got it. Hey, okay. Awesome. Portfolio. I got your portfolio. I got it. We're squared away. I got it now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I wonder who you sent it to. I wonder what the closest, like, Aeternian Empire. I wonder who the Aeternian Empire is and if they got your email. They might be competing for your sweet, sweet art. I appreciate it. I did get it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I hope y'all have a good night. I love you guys for real. Like it means the world to me that y'all are helping me to support my dreams and to continue to grow this. Every day I invest more and more in it, and every day I see a brighter and brighter future through it. So thank you for helping to make Eternia possible for me, and I hope to make Eternia possible for you all as well, as soon as physically possible. See you guys.